Chapter 1255. The more polite she was, the angrier Empress Dowager Zhou became. She suddenly slapped the table and said in a sharp voice, "Stop pretending in front of this widow, look at what you've done. As the Empress, you actually dare to not admit what you did?" She glared at Chen Ning. Chen Ning said in a gentle voice, "Mother, please calm your anger. This minister's wife really does not understand Mother's meaning. If Mother feels that this minister's wife did something wrong, please point it out. This minister's wife will definitely correct it, but please don't be angry. Mother, have you ever heard of the saying that being angry is using other people's mistakes to punish yourself? If this minister's wife did something wrong, then Mother can scold or hit me, but please don't harm your body because of this minister's wife's mistake, otherwise this minister's wife will be guilty." Her words were spoken in a calm and unperturbed manner. Su Jin stared at her, simply completely convinced. Being able to maintain this kind of calm tone in front of Empress Dowager Zhou's anger, the Empress was the only one. A large portion of Empress Dowager Zhou's anger had unknowingly disappeared. Especially when she heard being angry is using other people's mistakes to punish yourself, her heart skipped a beat and she almost nodded her head in agreement. She calmed herself down and then her anger rose again. "You think that just because you have a sharp tongue, you can talk your way out of this? Don't think you can deny what you did. Alright, since you don't admit that you did something wrong, this widow will clearly tell you. Zhao Rong is a princess personally appointed by the emperor and her father is the first-grade Duke Ning of the dynasty who was given the title of Crown Prince. Even this widow has not hit a single finger on her, so who do you think you are? You actually dare to hit and scold her. Do you know that hitting the princess is the same as hitting the emperor and hitting the royal family's face? Empress, you still won't admit your guilt." Chen Ning thought that it really was for the Princess Zhao Rong. Mo Chuan's face sunk and he said, "Mother, this matter has nothing to do with the Empress. Mother shouldn't listen to Zhao Rong's side of the story." Before he could finish, he was already cut off by Empress Dowager Zhou's cold voice. "Shut up for this widow. This widow still hasn't found you about your matter, it's not your turn to speak right now." Mo Chuan closed his mouth and looked over at Chen Ning, indicating for her to speak in a more tactful manner, not angering Empress Dowager Zhou. Chen Ning slightly looked down like she understood Mo Chuan's meaning. Unhurriedly, she said, "I believe that Imperial Mother already knows everything that happened in the Imperial study, right?" Chen Ning said, "Mother is correct, this minister's wife did send people to slap the Princess Zhao Rong. This minister's wife knows her guilt." Chen Ning said, "Mother is right, this minister's wife sent people to slap the Zhao Rong princess. This minister's wife is indeed guilty, this minister's wife knows her crime." Su Jin was shocked that she admitted her guilt so bluntly. When Zhao Rong princess came to the Peaceful Life Palace to complain to Empress Dowager Zhou, she was on the side serving her. She saw that Zhao Rong princess had several red finger marks on both sides of her face. Zhao Rong insisted that the Empress had sent guards to slap her and she was filled with doubt at that time. She thought that the Empress was very dignified and didn't know Zhao Rong, so why would she give the order to slap the princess for no reason? Which guard would be so bold as to really make a move against the princess? Chapter 1257. Empress Dowager Zhou knit her brows and asked, "What do you mean by this?" Chen Ning was thinking that she would go all out. The Zhao Rong princess had come to accuse her first, accusing her in front of Empress Dowager Zhou and splashing dirty water on her, so she might as well return the favor. She took out a small cloth bag and presented it with both hands. "Mother, please take a look at this and you'll understand this minister's wife's meaning." Empress Dowager Zhou gave Su Jin a look. Su Jin picked it up and placed it in front of Empress Dowager Zhou, gently opening it. There were several flying knives inside. The edges were sharp and the cold aura was quite intimidating. The two of them did not understand and looked at Chen Ning. When the princess used these flying knives to attack this minister's wife, the emperor was still unconscious and this minister's wife did not know martial arts. If it wasn't for Zhuge Feng arriving in time, this minister's wife would have been killed by the flying knives. Before she finished, Empress Dowager Zhou and Su Jin both took in a cold breath. Empress Dowager Zhou said without even thinking, "Nonsense, that's impossible. There's no such thing." Chen Ning calmly said, "This minister's wife will never accuse a good person. Mother, please carefully look at the handles of these flying knives and you'll know if this minister's wife is telling the truth or not." Hearing this, Empress Dowager Zhou and Su Jin looked at the handles of the flying knives and saw that there was a small rong engraved on the handles. The two of them recognized the Zhao Rong princess handwriting. It was without a doubt Zhao Rong's handwriting. Empress Dowager Zhou was speechless and Su Jin did not doubt her at all. After the Zhao Rong princess returned to the capital city and came to see Empress Dowager Zhou, she had indeed performed her flying knife skills. The size and shape of the flying knives were exactly the same as the ones in front of them. At that time, Empress Dowager Zhou and Su Jin were filled with shock and praise. Hearing Chen Ning's words at this time, even Empress Dowager Zhou's heart was filled with doubt. Could it be that Zhao Rong really dared to rebel and assassinate the Empress? Chen Ning saying this was not wrongly accusing Zhao Rong princess, she was just purposely blurring out the location of the matter, but the truth was the truth. After Zhuge Feng intercepted the flying dagger that the princess shot at this minister's wife, the princess was in a fit of anger and said a few unpleasant words, slandering this minister's wife's innocence. Mother has just said that insulting this minister's wife is equivalent to insulting the royal family's dignity, so this minister's wife sent Zhuge Feng to teach the princess a small lesson. Now that I've heard mother's teachings, I understand that this minister's wife's actions were indeed wrong. The princess committed a great crime of disrespect and this minister's wife only had Zhuge Feng slap her a few times, which was too light of a punishment. I should have listened to mother's orders and given a heavier punishment. Chen Ning's words made Empress Dowager Zhou's chest unable to breathe and she couldn't help coughing. Cough cough, cough cough cough. She lowered her head and her old face turned red. She was secretly cursing in her heart. Why was this girl's mouth so sharp, not letting anyone off with her words? She was using everything she had just said to block her own mouth. Su Jin was secretly laughing in her stomach. She came forward to pat Empress Dowager Zhou's back while saying in a soft voice, "Empress Dowager, pay attention to your body. The wind is strong here, so let's talk inside." The Empress is still kneeling. She was purposely giving Empress Dowager Zhou a ladder to step down. Chapter 1258. Yes. Many thanks, Mother. Only then did Chen Ning stand up. She still respectfully stood there. Her every movement was dignified, noble and refined. Even if Empress Dowager Zhou didn't like her, she couldn't find any fault with her, so she could only endure it. "Emperor, come here." Mo Chuan was looking at Chen Ning with a look of surprise and admiration. He simply loved her to the extreme, the girl he liked was just this different. It was unknown how many ministers saw Empress Dowager Zhou, but they were like mice seeing a cat. They didn't dare breathe or say a single word. Only this girl was not servile or overbearing. She was calm and steady, taking every step carefully, falling into a trap. She had actually dug a hole and even the experienced Empress Dowager Zhou had unknowingly jumped in. Interesting, this was just too interesting. Although the one suffering was his mother who raised him, he couldn't help siding with Chen Ning in his heart. This was because Empress Dowager Zhou had clearly heard Zhao Rong princess words and was purposely making it hard for Chen Ning. As his son, he couldn't go against his mother. If Empress Dowager Zhou wanted to punish Chen Ning, he would definitely come out to stop her, but this would cause conflict between the mother and son, which would hurt their relationship. Now Chen Ning had used a few short sentences to dispel his mother's thoughts of punishing her. This was truly wonderful. When he heard Empress Dowager Zhou call him, his eyes revealed a smile. He took a step forward and arrived in front of Empress Dowager Zhou. Imperial Mother. Before he could finish his words, with a tpa sound, Empress Dowager Zhou raised her hand and gave him a clear slap on the face. With Imo Chuan's martial arts, how could Empress Dowager Zhou hit him? But first, his mind was on Chen Ning, so he didn't have any defenses. Secondly, he saw the angry expression on Empress Dowager Zhou's face, so he didn't dare dodge. Mother, why did you hit your son? Imo Chuan's face was filled with shock and disbelief. Although this slap didn't injure him, his face was burning hot, especially in front of everyone. This was the first time Empress Dowager Zhou had hit him, but he didn't know why he was being hit at all. You unfilial son, look at what you've done. Empress Dowager Zhou looked at Imo Chuan in disappointment and began to violently cough again. Su Jin quickly patted her back while looking at Imo Chuan with her eyes. Then she pointed in the direction of the bedroom. Imo Chuan didn't understand her meaning. His brows were tightly knit as he stared at Empress Dowager Zhou. Mother, what did your son do wrong? He asked in a deep voice. Empress Dowager Zhou stopped coughing and pointed at Imo Chuan. You did such a good thing and you still have the nerve to ask this widow. Say, what are you going to do? Imo Chuan was even more confused. Mother, your son does not understand your meaning. Chen Ning's eyes sparkled as she looked at the room behind Empress Dowager Zhou. Her heart was filled with understanding. She lowered her eyelids and pondered to herself. I have watched Zhao Rong grow up. You and she have been childhood sweethearts since young and have a deep relationship. Chuaner, since you have done such a thing, you must take responsibility for Zhao Rong. She is your cousin, no matter what, you cannot mistreat her. If you dare to play dumb in front of me again, I will give you another big slap on the face. Chapter 1259. Before Chen Ning could speak, Imo Chuan spoke first. Mother, when did Zhao Rong become my person? There is nothing between us, nothing has happened at all. Mother, you can't listen to Zhao Rong's side of the story. Why don't you ask your son what she did? This widow knows what Zhao Rong did, but what did you do? Why are you pretending to be confused? Emperor, a man, since you dare do it, why don't you admit it? Have you ever thought that if you don't give Zhao Rong a status, how will she live in the future? Do you know how important a girl's reputation is? Empress Dowager Zhou righteously reprimanded him. Imo Chuan couldn't help giving a cold laugh. Reputation. If she cared about her reputation, she wouldn't have done this kind of thing to your son. Empress Dowager Zhou's face turned cold. The one who did this was clearly you. Emperor, give this widow an answer. Zhao Rong, will you marry her or not? I won't. Imo Chuan's voice was powerful. You. Empress Dowager Zhou angrily raised her hand again. Imo Chuan's back was straight and his body was straight like a pine tree, with a determined look on his face. Mother, your son swears that he has never touched a single finger of Zhao Rong. It was Zhao Rong who drugged your son and then climbed onto the bed while your son was unconscious. After being discovered by Ning, she beat and scolded Ning, even wanting to take Ning-er's life. This kind of vicious and scheming woman, you actually want your son to marry her. What did you say? Empress Dowager Zhou and Su Jin both had shocked expressions. Empress Dowager Zhou then shook her head. Emperor, this widow is too disappointed in you. In order to be irresponsible, you actually made up this kind of lie to slander Zhao Rong's innocence. Zhao Rong is a child this widow has watched grow up and she is a bit arrogant, but she is not as scheming and vicious as you say. Don't believe the nonsense of others. This widow definitely does not believe that Zhao Rong is that kind of person. Imo Chuan saw that Empress Dowager Zhou was determined to protect Zhao Rong princess and knew that no matter what he said, Empress Dowager Zhou wouldn't believe him. However, if he didn't explain this matter clearly, Empress Dowager Zhou would force him to marry Zhao Rong. Xiao Si and Jue Feng were also there when it happened. If mother doesn't believe me, you can call Xiao Si over and ask him. Empress Dowager Zhou gave a snort. Who doesn't know that Xiao Si is your confidant? He will say whatever you say. How can you believe this slippery brat's words? Mo Chuan saw that Empress Dowager Zhou was being unreasonable, so he directly said, "All right, since mother keeps saying that your son will take responsibility for Zhao Rong, if your son really does something bad to Zhao Rong, your son will naturally take responsibility, but your son will not take responsibility for something he didn't do." He wanted to use this to shut Empress Dowager Zhou's mouth, but he never thought that after Empress Dowager Zhou heard this, her eyes would light up. Very good. Emperor's words are enough. If this widow doesn't have evidence, she definitely won't force you to take responsibility for Zhao Rong, she said confidently. Mo Chuan's heart was filled with doubt as he asked, "Evidence? What evidence?" Empress Dowager Zhou did not reply and clapped her hands together. "Someone, go and call the 2 nannies who are checking the princess body over." After a while, 2 white-haired nannies wearing 4th-grade palace robes came in front of Empress Dowager Zhou and bowed down to her. This servant greets the Empress Dowager. When the 2 of them appeared, Chen Ning couldn't help feeling happy. Chapter 1260. Of the 2 maids, one was surnamed Meng and was a 4th-grade ceremonial master. The other was surnamed Jiang and was a 4th-grade official in charge of the palace. When Chen Ning was still in the King Ding Yuan Palace, it was these 2 maids that were instructed by Qin Baiyun. They wanted to use this chance to secretly do something to her, but she had seen through them. She never thought that she would see them again in the Peaceful Life Palace. Her lips curled into a cold smile as her eyes looked in the direction of the bedroom. If her guesses weren't wrong, the Zhao Rong princess was in that room. She did not say a word and just wanted to see what tricks the Zhao Rong princess had up her sleeves. "Have you examined her?" Empress Dowager Zhou asked in a deep voice. Reporting to the Empress Dowager, "These servants have examined her very clearly." The 2 maids replied in unison. The result? Empress Dowager Zhou asked again. The people present all held their breaths, so much so that they could hear a pin drop. Everyone's gaze fell on the 2 nannies. Chen Ning felt that it was a bit strange. The Zhao Rong princess was too bold. She clearly had nothing to do with Mo Chuan, so why did she agree to let the maids examine her body? Wouldn't she be exposed once she examined her body? Although the Zhao Rong princess wasn't that smart, she wouldn't be stupid to this point. She would take the initiative to hand over her weakness. Reporting to the Empress Dowager, the princess, She. The one speaking was Mother Mang. She had an awkward look on her face as she stammered, not giving any details. "Quickly speak." Empress Dowager Zhou's heart tightened as she sternly said. "Yes, Empress Dowager. The princess, She is indeed no longer a virgin." Mother Mang lowered her head and replied in a small voice. Empress Dowager Zhou nodded. Her expression was very calm, like she already knew this result. She coldly looked at Mo Chuan. "Emperor, what else do you have to say?" Mo Chuan's entire body was stunned. His first reaction was, impossible. The 2 examining maids must be lying because this matter was definitely impossible. Chen Ning was also shocked. Her eyes were staring at the 2 maids, watching their every move. That Mother Jiang was not lying, but her expression was a bit strange. What Chen Ning could confirm was that even if these 2 examining maids ate a bear's heart and leopard's guts, they wouldn't dare play tricks in front of Empress Dowager Zhou. So, Zhao Rong princess must have already lost her virginity. But how did she lose her virginity? When did she lose her virginity? That was the question. "Mother, no matter if Zhao Rong is a virgin or not, this matter has nothing to do with me." After Mo Chuan was shocked, he quickly calmed down. He knew very well whether he had done it or not. Even if he had been unconscious, he would not have done such a thing to Zhao Rong while unconscious. Hearing this, Empress Dowager Zhou's body trembled with anger. She wanted to use her dragon head cane to hit Mo Chuan, but she found that the cane had already been thrown to the side. Ning family law. She shouted sternly, "Today, I will teach this unrepentant and immature person a lesson." Mo Chuan proudly stood there without moving. "Even if mother kills your son today, your son will not take responsibility for something I didn't do." Zhou, Xiao. Empress Dowager Zhou's body trembled as she pointed at Mo Chuan. "Very good, this widow will beat you to death today, you heartless, disloyal, and unfilial thing." She pushed away Su Jin, who came to support her. She picked up the dragon head cane and slammed it down at Mo Chuan's shoulder. Chapter 1261. Suddenly, a young girl charged out from the room in the back. Her hair was a mess and her clothes were messy. Her eyes were red from crying and there were still red finger marks on her cheeks that had not disappeared yet. This young girl was the Zhao Rong princess. She limped over to Empress Dowager Zhou's feet and reached out to grab Empress Dowager Zhou's cane. Looking up, she begged, "Empress Dowager, it was all Rong's fault. Please don't hit cousin." Tears kept falling from her eyes. She cried like a pear blossom in the rain, looking very delicate and pitiful. Empress Dowager Zhou couldn't help revealing a look of regret as she rubbed her hair. Good child, you can be assured. This widow will take care of you and will not let the emperor bully you like this." No, Empress Dowager, this is all Rong's own will. Rong has long admired cousin, so Rong does not blame cousin at all. Cousin does not want to marry Rong will not blame cousin. Empress Dowager, please forgive cousin. She grabbed Empress Dowager Zhou's hand and sobbed. Empress Dowager Zhou's heart softened the moment she appeared. Hearing this, she glared at Mo Chuan. "Emperor, you did this kind of thing to Rong but Rong still treats you like this, aren't you ashamed?" She forcefully slammed her dragon head cane. Mo Chuan was too lazy to even look at the Zhao Rong princess as he coldly said, "Your son is not ashamed at all." "You!" Empress Dowager Zhou angrily raised her cane again. "Empress Dowager, please don't." The Zhao Rong princess suddenly charged forward, blocking in front of Mo Chuan. Her face suddenly revealed a painful expression, but she forcefully gritted her teeth to endure it. "Rong what's wrong?" Empress Dowager Zhou was shocked and quickly reached out to pull her up. The Zhao Rong princess' face turned red and she said in a low voice, "Nothing, it's just a bit painful." Although she didn't say where it hurt, Empress Dowager Zhou could guess from her expression. She felt pity and pain for her as she stroked her hair and said, "Good child, this widow will take care of this matter for you. Go rest in the room and be obedient." She stared at the two maids on the side and said, "Aren't you going to help the princess rest?" Su Jin, quickly tell the kitchen to prepare bird's nest for blood replenishing and use the best. Su Jin nodded and turned to leave. Two nannies supported Zhao Rong Junju on the left and right, supporting her as they slowly walked into the room. Princess Zhao Rong gritted her teeth and endured the pain. When she walked, she limped slowly. Empress Dowager Zhou saw this and her heart was filled with pain. "Emperor, it's all because of you that Zhao Rong became like this. If you still don't marry her, will you be able to face Zhao Rong's dead mother? You did such a thing to her daughter, yet you're not willing to take responsibility for her. Do you still have a heart?" When Empress Dowager Zhou's strict tone mentioned her dead cousin, it instantly became sobbing and she couldn't help crying. When Su Jin heard this, she couldn't help but turn around and say, "Your Majesty, the princess. Since you two are already husband and wife, why don't you listen to the Empress Dowager and give the princess a status? Mo Chuan's chest felt like it was on fire. His hands tightly clenched into fists and his body began to tremble. He never would have thought that Zhao Rong Junju would put on such a show. Right now, even if he had a body full of mouths, he wouldn't be able to explain himself. This matter concerned Zhao Rong Region Princess's innocence, so everyone believed Zhao Rong Region Princess words. Chapter 1262. While everyone was looking at him with censure and suspicion, there was only one person who was looking at him with a warm and firm gaze. Mo Chuan looked up and stared right at Qin Ning. He had nothing else to ask for right now. Everyone could not believe him, but she had to believe him. Ning, believe me, I really didn't do it. Of course I believe you. Qin Ning revealed a gentle smile to him. This smile was like the sun, instantly dispelling the haze in Mo Chuan's heart. It made his face glow with light. He walked beside her and tightly held her hand. It's enough for me to hear you say this. Ning, I will never let you down. Hearing this, Empress Dowager Zhou's face turned as dark as the bottom of a pot. Emperor, what do you mean by this? You're not willing to marry Rong, no matter what, right? That's right. Your son has already made a vow that he will never marry again in this life. In your son's heart, there is only one person. Mo Chuan looked up and resolutely replied. Very good, then don't blame this widow for not considering the relationship between mother and son. You have to marry Rong, even if you don't want to. If you don't marry Rong, this widow will die in front of you. Empress Dowager Zhou opened her left hand and revealed the bottle with the peacock gall, threatening him with death once again. Mo Chuan's face instantly turned white as he shouted, Mother. Empress Dowager Zhou pulled out the cork and placed the bottle to her lips, coldly looking at Mo Chuan. Emperor, this widow will ask you one last time. Will you marry or not? Mo Chuan's face turned pale and he said through gritted teeth, Mother, why must you force your son to do something he doesn't want to do? If you don't investigate the truth of the matter and your son really follows mother's orders to marry this girl, mother will definitely regret it in the future. Empress Dowager Zhou did not move and said with an expressionless face, Will you marry or not? Mo Chuan tightly gritted his teeth and his eyes seemed like they were about to spit out flames. The atmosphere on the scene became solemn. Everyone was stunned by Empress Dowager Zhou's actions. Su Jin was the first to react and shouted, Empress Dowager, don't. She wanted to steal the bottle from Empress Dowager Zhou's hand, but Empress Dowager Zhou coldly looked at her and she did not dare make a move. Zhao Rong Junju had already walked to the door. Seeing this, she turned around and cried out with tears in her eyes, Empress Dowager, if you do this for Ronger will not be able to atone for his sins even if he dies 100 times. Cousin doesn't want to marry me, so I won't marry him. Empress Dowager, nothing must happen to you. If I really have to die, the one who should die the most is me. Only if I die, you and cousin won't have to worry about me anymore. She suddenly broke free from the two maids' arms and slammed into the fake mountain in the yard. Ah! Princess! Seeing this, everyone exclaimed in unison. Zhao Rong, don't! Empress Dowager Zhou's body swayed as she charged at the Zhao Rong princess. Meng and Jiang, the two mama, rushed forward at the same time. Luckily, Zhao Rong Junju was injured and it was difficult for her to move. The two of them were able to hold her and prevent her blood from splattering everywhere. Rong, you mustn't do anything stupid. If you die, how am I going to explain it to your mother? You silly girl. Empress Dowager Zhou hugged Zhao Rong's princess as she cried in anger and pain. Chapter 1263. Mo Chuan's chin tightened. He had thought that this matter would be easily explained, but he never would have thought that the words of the two nurses would push him into an irrecoverable situation. How could he explain it? If I didn't do it, then I didn't do it. Does the person who made Zhao Rong not look perfect have to be me? Why can't it be someone else? Mother, why would you rather believe someone else's words and not your son's? When Empress Dowager Zhou heard this, her body began to tremble with anger. She suddenly turned around and glared at Imo Chuan. Emperor! Are you even speaking like a human? You! How did this widow give birth to a beast without a conscience like you? Zhao Rong Princess cried even louder. Her throat was blocked as she looked up with tears in her eyes. Cousin, Rong is not a shameless girl, I only have you in my heart. My body is clean. Other than you, I have never been touched by a man. If the person in the royal study wasn't you, Rong would never. Since cousin doesn't believe Rong is willing to die to prove my innocence. Empress Dowager, let me go, let me die. She struggled to hit the stone again. Empress Dowager Zhou tightly hugged her and said while crying, Rong, you're not allowed to do anything stupid. This widow will take charge of this matter and will definitely give you justice. The two maids also held on to the Zhao Rong princess and tried to persuade her. This play was very exciting and lively. Chen Ning never thought that the Zhao Rong princess would not be a brainless fool. Her framing was very clever, making it hard for Mo Chuan to defend himself. However, if she wanted to act in front of her, the Zhao Rong princess was still a bit immature. Not a single trace of her could escape Chen Ning's eyes. Empress Dowager Zhou comforted Zhao Rong. Holding the bottle, she turned to look at Mo Chuan. Emperor, you're still not willing to marry her. Very good, then collect this widow's corpse. She suddenly raised her hand and poured the poison in the bottle into her mouth. Mother, don't. Mo Chuan flew forward and took the bottle from Empress Dowager Zhou's hands. His back was covered in a cold sweat. Empress Dowager Zhou let him take the bottle. Standing there, she said with a cold smile, if this widow wants to die, can you stop me? If you don't marry Zhao Rong, this widow will die in front of you. Mo Chuan knew that Empress Dowager Zhou had a resolute personality and wouldn't go back on her words. Since she said this, she was determined to marry Zhao Rong princess. His heart felt like it was frying oil, and his two thick and straight eyebrows furrowed into a lock. If he didn't marry Zhao Rong, mother would kill herself. Zhao Rong. Zhao Rong. Zhao Rong. He had never been in such a dilemma in his life. Chen said. Chuan. Zhao. Mo. When Mo Chuan and the Empress Dowager Zhou mother and son were in a deadlock, Chen Ning suddenly took a step forward and spoke in a soft voice. While Mo Chuan and Empress Dowager Zhou were in a deadlock, Chen Ning suddenly took a step forward and spoke in a soft voice. Chen Ning forcefully said, this minister's wife believes that if the princess' innocence has been tarnished by the emperor, then this minister's wife agrees with the emperor marrying the princess. A man should take responsibility for his actions, otherwise what face do we have to stand in this world and what face do we have to be the ruler of a country? Hearing this, everyone looked at her with a look of disbelief. Chapter 1264. The Zhao Rong princess' cries became smaller. She looked up from the two maids' embrace and carefully looked over Chen Ning. Empress Dowager Zhou said in a doubtful voice, Empress, are you saying this from the bottom of your heart? This minister's wife is absolutely sincere. Mother, this minister's wife is also a woman, so I know how important a woman's purity is. If she loses her purity and the man who took it is not willing to take responsibility, then this kind of man should be struck by lightning from the heavens and be despised by everyone. Mo Chuan's face couldn't help turning dark as he angrily glared at Chen Ning. He couldn't understand. She had just said that she believed in him, so how could she stand on the same side as someone else in the blink of an eye? Empress Dowager Zhou revealed a look of joy. She had been 100 times unhappy with Qin Ning, but now she felt that her words were very pleasant to hear. Her tense face instantly softened. The Empress really is a person who understands the big picture. Since you agree with the Emperor marrying Zhao Rong, then you should properly advise the Emperor. Don't let him be a heartless person. Qin Ning nodded and said, this minister's wife will properly advise the Emperor. However, this minister's wife has a few things to ask the two maids who are examining the princess' body. After all, this matter concerns the princess' pure reputation and happiness, so it's better to ask them clearly. The hearts of the two maids couldn't help tightening. The Zhao Rong princess looked down and continued to sob. She secretly pinched the back of the two maids' hands, but no one noticed. Empress Dowager Zhou agreed with Qin Ning's opinion for the first time and said, the Empress' words are reasonable. If you have something to say, then ask it. Qin Ning slowly walked forward and walked beside the Zhao Rong princess. In a gentle voice, she said, Princess, the Empress Dowager will take care of this matter for you, so you don't need to be this sad. If the Emperor dares to let you down, not to mention the Empress Dowager not agreeing, even this princess will not agree. The Zhao Rong princess thought in her heart, you're this good? You clearly want to be a good person in front of the Empress Dowager, who knows what kind of scheme you have in your stomach. Her nostrils flared and she almost wanted to curse out loud. But in front of Empress Dowager Zhou, she had no choice but to pretend to be sad. She covered her face and sobbed, ignoring Qin Ning's words. But Qin Ning was too lazy to bother with her. Her goal was not the Zhao Rong princess at all. Nanny Jiang and Nanny Meng, we've met before. How are the two of you? You're still as healthy as ever, and you look even more spirited. She had a smile on her face as she greeted the two maids. Her current status was no longer the same as before. She was now the head of the 6 palaces, the empress that was above tens of thousands of people. She was no longer the princess that was bullied by everyone in the King Ding Yuan palace. Mother Meng and Mother Jiang changed their arrogant manner in front of her and hurriedly got up to salute her. Mother Meng, Jiang and Meng, there's no need for the two nannies to be overly courteous. Ben Gong knows that your old nannies in the palace and even the Empress Dowager trusts you. However, Ben Gong still wants to ask in detail. Did the two nannies just examine the princess' body? Chapter 1265. At that time, Qin Ning's words were sharp and she was intelligent, leaving a deep impression on the two of them. Now that they were facing Qin Ning, their hearts were filled with vigilance. Reporting to the Empress, that's right. The two of them respectfully replied. Then this princess wants to ask the two maids, what method did you use to examine the princess' body? Did you use the chastity mark? Or did you use the old method of the two maids? To take off her clothes? Qin Ning calmly asked. The Zhao Rong princess' face instantly turned red. She secretly clenched her fists and her nails dug into her palms. How could the two maids not hear the sarcasm in Qin Ning's words? However, the two of them had been in the palace for a long time and their skin was thicker than the city walls. There was nothing strange on their faces and they still had respectful expressions. Mother Meng carefully replied, this matter is related to the princess' innocence, so for the sake of security, we used the method of taking off her clothes. I wonder which nanny checked it. Or did the two maids do it together? This. The two maids couldn't help looking at each other before replying, it was done by the two maids. May I ask how long the two maids have been in charge of etiquette and etiquette? Qin Ning suddenly asked a completely unrelated question. Mother Meng replied, this servant has been in charge for 24 years. Mother Jiang said, this servant has been in charge for 22 years. Then there must be quite a few girls that have been examined by the two maids. The two maids must have a lot of experience, no wonder you have been in this position for so many years. Chen Ning smiled as she praised the two of them. We don't dare accept the Empress praise. I also want to ask the two maids, if a girl is not a virgin, does that mean she has just lost her chastity or has lost it a long time ago? With the two maids' experience, you should be able to tell, right? The hearts of the two maids turned cold at the same time as they replied, of course. The Zhao Rong princess secretly gritted her teeth. The corner of her eyes revealed a look of deep hatred and pride as she looked at Chen Ning. Humph. She had thought of such a flawless plan. Did that fox spirit empress think she could find her weakness with just a few words? Don't even think about it. According to the results of the two nannies' examination, did the princess just lose her virginity? Chen Ning raised her voice and directly asked this question. The Zhao Rong princess never would have thought that the most secret matter of a girl like her would be discussed by Chen Ning in front of everyone. Her face instantly turned red and she wished she could find a hole to hide in. She did not even have the courage to look at Mo Chuan. Empress Dowager Zhou and Su Jin also felt a bit awkward, but Chen Ning's words were very natural, like this was a very natural question. Meng Meng teeth and said, Mo Zimo, very well, then I will ask the two nannies one last question. Chen Ning's words made the two maids let out a sigh of relief. Chen Ning's questions had come one after another and each one was sharper than the last, making their hearts jump into their throats. Queen. Was Her Highness's chastity ruined by a man or by the fingers of the two nannies? Nannies, please tell me the truth about this question. Chapter 1266. Chen Ning's words were like a bomb falling into the crowd, causing everyone to be stunned by the explosion. Empress Dowager Zhou said with a shocked expression, You. What did you say? Although Su Jin did not say anything, her eyes couldn't help looking over at the Zhao Rong princess. The Meng and Jiang maids' bodies slightly trembled as they lowered their heads without making a sound. The Zhao Rong princess' face was as white as paper. She suddenly looked up with tears in her eyes and said while crying, Empress, how can you say this kind of thing? You personally saw the scene at the time. You saw the emperor favoring Rong her, so you became angry out of shame. You ordered people to beat Rong and then kicked Rong out of the palace. Do you want to cover up the truth like this? Rong wholeheartedly admires the emperor and Rong doesn't care about status, but Rong's innocence cannot be slandered like this. Empress Dowager, please help Rong She fell to the ground crying. She was out of breath and almost fainted. Empress Dowager Zhou saw this and her heart clenched. She couldn't help slamming her dragon head cane down and sternly saying to Chen Ning, Empress, please pay attention to your words. Is this girl's innocence something that you can casually slander? You don't want the emperor to marry someone else, so you think of this kind of malicious method to humiliate Rome. Are you worthy of being the empress? This widow feels that you should give up your position as soon as possible. Her words were already very serious, not giving Chen Ning any face at all. The surrounding people could hear this. Although the Zhao Rong princess was crying loudly, her heart was filled with pride. The Meng and Jiang maids let out a sigh of relief. With the Empress Dowager supporting the princess, what did a little empress count for? As long as the Empress Dowager said a single word, you would roll down from your high throne and turn from a phoenix to a chicken. Mo Chuan took a step forward and said in a cold voice, Mother, Ning's empress position was personally conferred by this one in front of the imperial temple. The ancestors and ministers were all present. It is not something you can remove just because you want to. Empress Dowager Zhou's body trembled with anger. She pointed at Mo Chuan and said, Good, very good. Emperor, you're actually going against this widow for a woman. You really are worthy of all the effort this widow has put in for you and all the training I've done for you. Mo Chuan still wanted to say something, but Chen Ning grabbed his hand and gently pinched it. She gave him a look, telling him not to say anything else. Your Majesty, you can't disobey Imperial Mother. Quickly apologize to Imperial Mother. Mo Chuan didn't understand what she meant, but he knew that his words were too much, making Empress Dowager Zhou sad, so he softened his tone. Mother, I don't mean to contradict you. I just want to ask you to calm down for a while and let Ning, finish her question. Nanny Meng, Nanny Jiang, answer the Empress's question. His voice was cold and stern, and the two nannies shivered at the same time. Replying to your Majesty, how would we dare to have the guts to ruin the princess's innocence? Nanny Jiang said in a trembling voice. Then your meaning is that her innocence was destroyed by this one. Mo Chuan's eyes were like cold lightning as he looked over at Mother Jiang. Mother Jiang lowered her head. Her back was cold and she did not dare look up. Granny Meng didn't even dare to breathe loudly. She buried her head low. Mother Meng, please extend your right hand. Chen Ning suddenly said. That Mother Meng's body trembled and she placed her right hand into her sleeve. Chapter 1267. Empress Dowager, the Empress is questioning Rong's innocence like this. How will Rong have the face to see people in the future? You have to help Rong. The Zhao Rong princess suddenly knelt down beside Empress Dowager Zhou while crying. She knelt down at her feet and loudly cried out. Empress Dowager Zhou patted her back and angrily glared at Qin Ning. This matter ends here, no one is allowed to say another word. Someone, immediately send the two maids out of the palace. Her words clearly did not want to make this matter bigger. After all, this matter was related to the Zhao Rong princess' reputation. Mother Meng let out a sigh of relief and her heart that was in her throat fell to the ground. Chen Ning took a step forward and stood in front of Mother Meng. She said in a cold voice, Mother Meng, are you still not willing to tell the truth? Empress. Empress Dowager Zhou angrily shouted. Mother, the truth is about to be revealed. Does Mother not want to know the truth? Don't you want to know who the person who really ruined the princess's chastity is? It wasn't anyone else, it was this Mother Meng in front of us. She suddenly reached out and pulled Mother Meng's right hand out of her sleeve, raising it high up. Imperial Mother, please take a look. It was Senior Nurse Meng's two fingers that destroyed Her Highness' chastity. The bloodstains on her fingers are clear evidence. She said in a loud and clear voice. Mother Meng was caught off guard and was completely stunned by Qin Ning's actions. When she came back to her senses, she saw that everyone's eyes were on her right hand. She panicked and wanted to pull her hand back. But Qin Ning was firmly holding her wrist and she couldn't pull it back at all. Everyone could clearly see that Senior Nurse Meng's index and middle fingers were indeed stained with blood. The bloodstains under her nails were especially deep. Empress Dowager, there really is blood. Su Jin couldn't help covering her lips as she cried out. Empress Dowager Zhou's face was as cold as water. She had been in the palace for several decades and had experienced all kinds of storms and events. She had seen things like body examination maids secretly playing tricks in the palace a long time ago. But she never would have thought that Mother Meng would be this bold, daring to do this to the Zhao Rong princess. Meng Si, did you really do this? Empress Dowager Zhou coldly stared at Mother Meng. The cold light in her eyes was almost tangible, making Mother Meng feel like she had fallen into an ice cave. No, no, no. It's not this servant, it's not this servant. She was in a panic as she shook her head. Then where did the blood on your fingers come from? Empress Dowager Zhou asked. This. Senior servant Meng's eyes darted around as she answered, Your Highness was injured when you lost your virginity. When I was examining your body, I accidentally got some blood on it. Empress Dowager Zhou Kuden Dowager Zhou heard this and felt helpless because there was nothing. One had to know that a woman's innocence was the hardest thing to prove. There would never be any evidence. Chen Ning gave a cold laugh and said, according to Mother Meng's meaning, the princess did not lose her virginity in that room, but rather in the royal study. Since Nanny Meng's hands are stained with blood, Her Highness must have lost quite a lot of blood when she lost her virginity. That blood must have flowed onto the mattress. Very good, I can immediately send someone to retrieve the mattress from the imperial study to check if there are any bloodstains on it. Now, why don't we first check if there are any bloodstains on the mattress that the two nannies examined Her Highness' body just now? Chapter 1268. No need to check. This servant confesses. Confesses, she said in a weak voice. The Zhaorong princess' face turned whiter than snow as she stared right at Mother Meng. Although senior nurse Meng didn't look up, she couldn't help but shiver. Speak. Why did you do this to the princess? Empress Dowager Zhou shouted in a sharp voice as she slammed her dragon head cane into the ground. This servant. This servant. Mother Meng said in a trembling voice, this servant was too nervous at the time and was not careful. I used too much strength, I never thought that I would hurt the princess. This servant deserves to die, it was all this servant's fault. I asked the Empress Dowager for forgiveness. She kneeled on the ground and kept kowtowing. Hearing Mother Meng's words, the Zhaorong princess immediately looked away. She looked down and let out a sigh of relief. Chen Ning revealed a faint cold smile. This Mother Meng really had received quite a bit of benefits from the Zhaorong princess, actually putting all the blame on herself. But wanting to get away with this, was it that easy? Mother Meng, you said that you accidentally made a mistake and it wasn't intentional, right? Chen Ning lowered her head to look at Mother Meng. Yes. The Empress Dowager is wise, this servant really didn't mean it. Mother Meng knocked her head against the ground. Chen Ning's voice suddenly raised a bit, since you didn't mean it, then why didn't the princess punish you on the spot after being hurt like this? Why did you insist that the person who made her lose her innocence was not you, but rather the emperor? As soon as her voice fell, Mother Meng's body froze. Her mouth was wide open, unable to say a word. The Zhaorong princess' face turned livid. She tightly bit her lower lip, almost to the point of bleeding. Chen Ning's words were just too powerful. Even Empress Dowager Zhou couldn't protect her even if she wanted to. Empress Dowager Zhou did not dismiss the surrounding eunuchs and maids because she wanted to use everyone to force Mo Chuan to marry Zhaorong. But she never would have thought that the truth would be like this. She was now well aware that the Zhaorong princess' innocence was destroyed by Mother Meng herself. Then she wanted to use this chance to push this matter onto Mo Chuan, making it hard for him to defend himself. This kind of scheme and this kind of ruthless methods, even Empress Dowager Zhou, who had been in the harem for many years, was shocked. Zhaorong was cruel to herself to this extent. She even destroyed her chastity in order to achieve her goal. This was simply too terrifying. After Chen Ning said this, she silently retreated to the side. She knew that no one present was stupid. Everyone understood the meaning behind her words, so it was best to stop while she was ahead. Mo Chuan immediately grabbed her hand and tightly gripped it. His eyes were burning with passion as he stared at her, not even blinking. There had never been a moment where he felt his blood boil because of her. She had actually used just a few words to prove his innocence. She had exposed Zhaorong princess's treachery in front of everyone, and Empress Dowager Zhou had no reason to force him to marry Zhaorong princess. The air seemed to freeze and no one made a sound. Everyone's eyes fell onto the Zhaorong princess. Their eyes were filled with disdain, condemnation, and contempt. A dignified princess, in order to marry the emperor, she had actually bribed a body examination nurse and personally destroyed her innocence. Chapter 1269. After a long time, Empress Dowager Zhou finally leaned on her cane and walked step by step towards the Zhao Rong princess. She walked very slowly, like she was using a lot of strength with each step. Su Jin wanted to go up to support her, but she was pushed away by her. She stood beside the Zhao Rong princess, looking down at her from above. The Zhao Rong princess was lying on the ground, not daring to look up at all, just sobbing. Zhao Rong, do you have anything else you want to say? Empress Dowager Zhou slowly spoke. Her voice was very calm, without a trace of anger in it. The Zhao Rong princess bitterly cried, Empress Dowager, Rong has been wronged. Someone must have bribed that nurse, that's why she secretly harmed Rong. I ask the Empress Dowager to help Rong find the person who harmed Rong and give Rong justice. Empress Dowager Zhou's lips slightly curled up, revealing a mocking smile. This widow has always wanted to uphold justice for you, standing up for you with all my heart. Rong, you have truly disappointed this widow. The Zhao Rong princess cried and said, Empress Dowager, Rong has really been harmed by someone. That nurse Meng's heart is evil. Using the fact that she was examining Rong's body, she actually destroyed Rong's innocence. But what can Rong do? Having lost her innocence, Rong wouldn't be able to clear her name even if she jumped into the river. She could only bite the bullet and swallow this bitter fruit. The only way Rong could think of was to hide this matter and then marry her cousin. Otherwise, Rong wouldn't be able to be a human in the future. Woo. She lay at Empress Dowager Zhou's feet, grabbing onto Empress Dowager Zhou's skirt, speaking while crying. Empress Dowager Zhou's eyes were cold, feeling extremely disappointed in her. But when she heard the Zhao Rong princess say, never be a human again, her heart suddenly skipped a beat. Thinking of her dead little sister, she couldn't help feeling pity for her. She gave a low sigh, not saying a word. But the Zhao Rong princess was too familiar with her. Hearing her sigh, she immediately knew that Empress Dowager Zhou's heart had softened. She immediately seized the opportunity and hugged Empress Dowager Zhou's leg. She raised her tearful face and said, Empress Dowager, Rong is not a frivolous person. Before today, Rong was definitely innocent. If I could marry my cousin, Rong would follow my duties and would not do anything that would shame the royal family, but Rong's innocence has been destroyed by someone. Rong would do. What do you want Rong to do? If Rong doesn't want cousin, then Rong would die. Rong said. You, Bai Qian. You're so young, why are you talking about death? Su Jin helped the princess into her room to rest. Zhao Dowager and said. Chen. By Zhao Dowager Su of Jin, of Zhao of Su of Bai Xian, Jin of Dowager of Yu of. Bai, Jin Zhao, Jin, Shi, Bai, of Jin. As expected, Empress Dowager Zhou's eyes fell onto Nurse Meng and Nurse Jiang. That cold gaze made the two nurses tremble in fear. Someone, take these two servants and throw them into prison. Empress Dowager Zhou gave a sharp shout. The two nurses began to violently tremble. Chapter 1270. This Mother Jiang was very smart. Hearing Empress Dowager Zhou's tone, she knew that she and Mother Meng had become scapegoats for the Zhao Rong princess. However, from the beginning to the end, she was just an accomplice. Just like that, she was sent to the heavenly prison and lost all her power. She really couldn't accept this, so she pushed all the blame on to Senior Meng and only hoped that she could get away with it. Mother Meng stared at her with eyes that seemed like they were about to spit out flames. Surnamed Jiang, you're really despicable. Although I was the one who did it, the ones who received benefits from the princess are the two of us. She suddenly realized that she had said something wrong. Her mouth fell open in shock and she couldn't say a single word. At this point, Empress Dowager Zhou's heart was as clear as a mirror. The Zhaorong princess words could fool others, but it couldn't fool her. Although her heart was disappointed, thinking of her dead cousin, she still decided to take responsibility for Zhaorong. No matter what, she couldn't let the Zhaorong princess' life be ruined like this. Shut up. Immediately take these two slaves away. First cut off their tongues, then cut off their limbs. Empress Dowager Zhou coldly ordered. Mother Mang and Mother Jiang were scared out of their wits as they begged for mercy on the ground. The guards pulled the two of them off the ground like wolves. Without saying a word, they cut off their tongues and blood flowed onto the ground. The two of them almost fainted from the pain. When the imperial guards and maids saw this scene, they couldn't help trembling in fear. They lowered their heads and hid in the corner, not daring to even breathe loudly. Mo Chuan and Qin Ning knew that Empress Dowager Zhou was killing the chicken to warn the monkey. Cutting off the tongues of the two mothers was a warning to everyone here. If anyone dared to say anything, they would leak what happened today. Of course, the main reason was that these two would never be able to tell the secret of the Zhaorong princess. Mo Chuan's face sunk. When he was about to speak, Qin Ning secretly pulled on his sleeve and slightly shook her head at him. She knew that Mo Chuan wanted Empress Dowager Zhou to punish the Zhaorong princess, but Empress Dowager Zhou had already shown that she would protect her. No matter what Mo Chuan said, Empress Dowager Zhou would not punish the Zhaorong princess. Ah! The hands and feet of the two mothers were cut off by the guards and the two of them instantly fainted. This bloody scene caused everyone around to tremble in fear, and they were all scared out of their wits. Empress Dowager Zhou waved her hand, "Take them away and give them 3 feet of white silk." This meant that they were going to be silenced. The two nannies were dragged out like dead dogs by the guards while they were unconscious. What awaited them was the fate of being sentenced to death. Although these two people deserved it and did not deserve any sympathy, seeing them fall to such a pitiful end, Qin Ning had a deeper understanding of the ruthlessness of the royal palace. She gave a sigh in her heart, not wanting to stay here any longer. Empress Dowager Zhou was worried about Zhaorong princess, so she was not in the mood to talk to them. She waved her hand and had them leave, then she went to visit Zhaorong princess with her cane. Zhou, Ning Qin Ning Dowager Qin, Ning Qin Qin, and Ning was, Mother, Qin. Today's situation was full of twists and turns, and the development was completely out of her expectations. Even she, who had experienced countless storms and major events, felt helpless and had a terrible headache. Chapter 1271. Empress Dowager Zhou knew that if a girl lost her innocence, her life would be over. There was no man that would marry a girl that wasn't innocent. But Zhaorong was still so young, 16 years of age. Could it be that he could only watch as this beautiful and moving flower withered before it even fully bloomed? Thinking of how Zhaorong's mother held her hand last year and entrusted Zhaorong to her, Empress Dowager Zhou's heart sank. No, she couldn't turn a blind eye to it. Not to mention that Zhaorong had spent so much effort and suffered so much, it was all for a single person, and that was her son. No matter what, she had to complete her promise to her mother and let Zhaorong get what she wanted. Empress Dowager Zhou's heart was set and her footsteps became steady. She would think of a way to let Zhaorong live, giving her a chance to raise her head again. Mo Chuan tightly held Qin Ning's hand the entire time. Once they left the peaceful life palace, he quickly pulled her to a secluded corner, hiding from everyone's sight. Ning, why are you so smart? If you didn't discover Mother Mang's scheme, I would have been forced into a dead end by Mother. He lifted her chin and gazed deeply into her eyes. His eyes were burning with passion. Qin Ning looked down and gave a soft sigh. What? Are you not happy that you've seen through Zhao Rong's scheme? Mo Chuan could clearly feel the unhappiness in her heart. She shook her head in confusion and placed her face against Mo Chuan's chest, feeling his steady and powerful heartbeat. Mo Chuan, I just feel that the palace is very terrifying. It's like a giant man-eating beast opening its bloody mouth. I'm very worried that one day, I will become a delicacy in its stomach, being swallowed by it without leaving a single piece of me behind. The scene of Mother Meng and Mother Jiang having their tongues and feet cut off flashed in front of her and she couldn't help closing her eyes. Mo Chuan felt her body tremble and tightly hugged her. He firmly said in her ear, "You don't need to be afraid of anything. With me here, even if the sky collapses, I will hold it up for you." His words were like a warm current that flowed into her heart, making her feel both sweet and blissful. She raised her head and met his gaze, a smile spreading from the corner of her eyes to the tip of her brows. "You're the one who said this. If I really cause chaos here one day, don't blame me." "If you want to cause trouble, I'll help you." Mo Chuan lovingly pinched her nose. "I want to set this place on fire and burn it down." She rolled her eyes and deliberately said, "All right, then let's find a dark and windy night. I'll help you keep watch while you set the fire." He did not hesitate at all. Her eyes were a bit wet as she reached out to hold his neck and said in a soft voice, "Mo Chuan, don't be this good to me, you'll spoil me rotten." "Silly girl, you are my most beloved girl. You are. If I don't treat you well, do you want me to treat Zhao Rong? What's more, spoiling you is my happiness." He gazed at her affectionately. Her face turned slightly red as she looked away and said, "You have a glib tongue. When did you learn to speak sweet words? Where did that silent Mo Chuan go?" He said with a smile, "Whether or not I'm a smooth talker, won't you know after you try it?" Chapter 1272. The two of them leaned against an empty corner of the palace wall, tightly hugging and kissing. Mo Chuan only wanted to gently kiss her, but when he touched her soft and warm lips, he found it hard to restrain himself. He couldn't help wanting more. Gradually, both of their bodies became hot because of this kiss. Her body softly leaned against him and because it was hard to breathe, her body was weak. He picked her up, but he couldn't bear to end the kiss. Instead, he kissed her even deeper and even hotter. The two of them were clear on what was going to happen next. This was something they had been waiting for a long time. Mo Chuan felt the flames in his body slowly burn. He didn't need to suppress it anymore and try to control it. As long as they returned to the Guan Osprey Palace, he could do whatever he wanted. Both of their bodies were trembling slightly and their hearts were beating extremely fast. However, neither of them was willing to end this incomparably sweet kiss. This was a kiss so sweet that it made one's body tremble. Both of them felt as if they were floating in the air. "Who is it? There's an assassin. Someone come quickly." Suddenly, a few shouts rang out, startling the two people who were immersed in the sweet kiss. Mo Chuan saw several palace guards running in the direction of Qin Ning and him. His brows jumped up as he was filled with rage. These useless guards, they actually thought he and Ning were assassins. He wanted to scold them, but when he looked down, he saw Qin Ning's beautiful face and red lips. He could tell with a single glance that the two of them had just been intimate. Her beautiful appearance, he did not want any man to see it. Mo Chuan did not say a word as he carried her over the palace wall. Using his qinggong, he ran in the direction of the Guan Osprey Palace. Before the guards could arrive, they felt their vision blur, as if something had floated away. They stood in the corner and looked at each other in blank dismay. Their hearts were filled with shock. "Quickly report to the chief steward that there are assassins in the palace. The assassins are very strong, we have to protect the emperor's safety." After exchanging their opinions, the guards immediately split up to take action. Very quickly, the palace was filled with shouts of "Catch the assassins" and "Protect the emperor." Mo Chuan heard this from afar and knit his brows, feeling very angry. Being disturbed by them like this, he wouldn't be able to have any peace. But he was too lazy to care about them. He let them do what they wanted as he carried Qin Ning and headed for the Guan Osprey Palace. "This is bad, there's an assassin, there's an assassin. Someone come quickly, catch the assassin." Before he could reach the gates of Guan Osprey Palace, he heard a sharp cry filled with panic and fear. It was Xiao Xi's voice. Right after that, they saw Little Four run out of Guan Osprey Palace, screaming as he ran. Mo Chuan's brows tightly knit together. He was thinking about how Xiao Xi had become so rash. He didn't even see the shadow of an assassin and he was just randomly shouting. His figure flickered, landing in front of Xiao Xi, coldly saying, "Impudent, don't talk nonsense, where is the assassin?" Xiao Xi suddenly saw a person appear in front of him. In his panic, he did not recognize Mo Chuan's voice and did not see Mo Chuan's face. Xiao Mo. Chapter 1273. Mo Chuan's face was cold as he appeared behind Xiao Xi in a flash. With a kick, Xiao Xi fell to the ground, falling face first. Xiao Xi's martial arts came from him, so he understood every move. So, to deal with Xiao Xi, he only needed a single move. "Xiao Xi, open your dog eyes and look. This one is an assassin." He looked down at Xiao Xi from above. Xiao Xi's body trembled and he jumped up from the ground. When he saw that the person in front of him was Mo Chuan, he was filled with surprise and joy. He was so excited that tears came out. "Emperor, you're fine, that's great." He then looked at Qin Ning. "The Empress is also safe and sound. This is simply too good." This servant was so worried that I almost died. He patted his chest and wiped away the tears of joy with a frightened look on his face. Mo Chuan coldly stared at him and gave a snort, making a big fuss over a small matter. Where did this assassin come from? There was no assassin at all. Immediately go inform the head guard and tell them to stop making trouble. If they disturb the Empress Dowager, this one will not let them off easily. Yes, yes. Xiao Xi replied. When he was prepared to send the order, he suddenly turned around. "Emperor, how can you be so sure that there was no assassin?" This servant was shocked when I entered the Guan Osprey Palace. All the eunuchs and maids in the palace were killed and the blood on the ground had not even dried yet. This servant thought that it was the emperor. "You and the Empress had an accident, so..." Before he could finish, Mo Chuan had already cut him off. "What did you say?" "Everyone in the Guan Osprey Palace is dead." No matter how calm he was, his voice couldn't help trembling. Could there really be assassins in the palace? Qin Ning's face instantly turned pale. "Xiao Ru. Where's Xiao Ru?" She struggled out of Mo Chuan's embrace and grabbed Xiao Xi's wrist, staring at him as she asked this question. This servant doesn't know. This servant only saw the dead people on the ground and immediately ran out to report. Xiao Xi stuttered as his face turned white. Qin Ning did not wait for him to finish before letting go of his hand and quickly running into the Guan Osprey Palace. She used all her strength to run and her heart almost jumped out of her chest, but she still felt that she wasn't running fast enough. "Xiao Ru, you can't have anything happen to you." "Definitely not. If something happens to you, I. A voice in her heart shouted loudly. The wind whistled past her ears. She ran until she couldn't catch her breath, but she still ran with all her might. All of a sudden, she felt her body lighten as a strong arm wrapped around her waist. She felt as if she was flying, and her speed was even faster than a galloping horse. Nothing will happen to Xiao Ru. Mo Chuan said in a deep voice as he brought her into the Guan Osprey Palace. Once they stepped into the palace, a thick smell of blood filled the air, filled their noses. That choking smell made even Mo Chuan's expression change. He protected Chen Ning and walked in step by step. When he saw the scene in front of him, his pupils suddenly shrank. Corpses. The entire courtyard was filled with corpses. Each person had died the same way, all of them had their heads cut off. Blood soaked the blue brick ground, forming a pool of blood in the courtyard. Chapter 1274. Xiao Ru. Seeing the tragic scene in front of her, Chen Ning felt like all the energy in her body had been sucked out. Her legs turned soft, and if it wasn't for Mo Chuan holding her, she would have already fallen to the ground. Xiao Ru. She called out again. Her throat was tight and dry, almost making it impossible for her to make a sound. Mo Chuan's eyes quickly looked around, while feeling his surroundings with vigilance. There was nothing strange. There was no breathing. There was only a deathly silence mixed with the smell of blood. This was the smell of death. Mo Chuan's right hand slowly clenched into a fist and a sharp glow appeared in his eyes. This was a clear provocation. There was actually someone who dared to kill people in his palace. They clearly did not place the guards in their eyes at all and did not place the emperor in their eyes at all. Who was this bold? Xiao Si, immediately notify Zhui Feng and have him lead all the secret guards to the Peaceful Life Palace to protect the Empress Dowager. If the Empress Dowager loses a single hair, have them bring their heads in. He suddenly turned around and shouted at Xiao Si. Yes. Xiao Si suddenly came to his senses and ran off. Mo Chuan tightly held Chen Ning's hand, feeling that her hand was as cold as ice. His body kept trembling as he looked at the corpses in the yard in a daze, not moving at all. Ning-er. Ning-er. He tried to call out in her ear. Chen Ning's body moved. She suddenly forcefully grabbed Mo Chuan's hand and stood up straight. Then she let go and walked into the yard step by step. Ning-er. Mo Chuan took a step forward and pulled her hand, but she threw it off. Don't stop me, I want to find Xiao Ru. She said word for word as she looked at the bloody heads on the ground. She squatted down and picked up a head. She used her sleeve to wipe the blood off her face, revealing her face. Seeing that it wasn't Xiao Ru, she gently put the head down and picked up another one. She wiped it off and looked again. Mo Chuan silently watched her search for Xiao Ru in the pool of blood. He wanted to stop her, but he knew that he couldn't. He knew the relationship between her and Xiao Ru. Although Xiao Ru was her maid, in her heart, she was no different than her own little sister. If Xiao Ru really died, what would she do? Even he didn't know. He only knew that her heart must be filled with fear right now because she was afraid of finding Xiao Ru among the corpses on the ground. But all the people in the palace were dead. How could a girl like Xiao Ru, who didn't know any martial arts, escape? She would definitely find Xiao Ru. When she saw Xiao Ru's corpse, how could she take such a big blow? Ning-er, take a break. I'll help you find it. Mo Chuan suddenly jumped forward and hugged her. Seeing her pale face without a trace of blood, his heart filled with pain. No, I want to find it myself. Mo Chuan, move aside. Chen of Mo of her. She didn't even look at Mo Chuan as her eyes fell onto the heads on the ground. Her eyes were filled with sorrow. She used her trembling hands to pick up another head. Mo Chuan's guess was right, she was indeed afraid. She was afraid that the next head she was holding would be Xiao Ru's. Slowly. Of Ning of blood. Of Xiao. No, not Xiao Ru, none of them were Xiao Ru. Chapter 1275. Every time she called Xiao Ru's name in the past, Xiao Ru would be like a happy little bird, running out of the room and chirping around her, laughing non-stop. That round little face would never be worried and would always have a sweet smile on it. But now, her voice echoed in the empty yard and that familiar smiling face did not appear in front of her again. Xiao Ru. Xiao Ru. Chen Ning did not give up and raised her voice. While calling out, she pushed open door after door, carefully searching. She had seen all the corpses on the ground and none of them were Xiao Ru's, so Xiao Ru was definitely still alive. She must still be here, perhaps she was hiding in a corner. She went from room to room and searched every corner of Guan Osprey Palace, but she still couldn't find anything. There was no Xiao Ru. She couldn't be seen alive, she couldn't be seen dead. Mo Chuan, quickly give the order and send people to find Xiao Ru. I'm guessing that she must have escaped. She must have seen the murderer do this, so she escaped. She didn't die, she really didn't die. Chen Ning grabbed Mo Chuan's hand and anxiously said this. She did not believe that Xiao Ru would die because without Xiao Ru's corpse, she definitely wouldn't die. Alright, I'll immediately send people to find her. Don't worry, nothing will happen to Xiao Ru. Mo Chuan patted her shoulder and comforted her. His eyes fell onto the corpses and his pupils turned into a black dot. He had carefully looked over the corpses just now. All of them had their heads cut off and the cuts were very smooth. It was clear that the murderer moved very quickly and used an incomparably sharp and strange weapon. It wasn't a blade or a sword. Although these maids and eunuchs did not know martial arts, the murderer's method of killing them was very clean and fast. It was unimaginable because there was no panic or fear on their faces. Rather, they were very calm. It was obvious that death had befallen them before they even realized the danger they were in. What shocked Mo Chuan the most was that there was only one murderer. It was because of this that he felt a sense of danger. The murderer had killed all the maids and eunuchs in the Guan Osprey Palace and Xiao Ru had disappeared. It was clear that the murderer's target was not anyone else, it was Chen Ning who lived in the Guan Osprey Palace. Who wanted Ning Er's life? Could it be that the murderer and the person who swapped the poisonous snake on the wedding night were the same person? Mo Chuan was filled with doubts, but now was not the time to find the truth. He needed to protect Chen Ning and find Xiao Ru's whereabouts. In the entire palace, other than him and Zhui Feng, there was no one that was a match for this murderer. So during this period of time, he would not leave her side and protect her. Ning Er, the murderer has already left, but no one knows when he will come back. This person's martial arts are very strong. He was able to avoid the eyes and ears of the palace guards and enter the palace to kill without restraint. This means that he is very familiar with the situation in the palace. It is very possible that he has not truly left, but is hiding somewhere waiting for an opportunity to strike. So no matter what, you cannot leave my side. What I am worried about now is whether or not the murderer will harm Mother. Mo Chuan couldn't help looking at the direction of the Peaceful Life Palace. Chapter 1276. Chen Ning closed her eyes and 2 streams of tears flowed down. She wiped her tears with her sleeves and opened her eyes to say, Mo Chuan, filial piety comes first. Go to the Peaceful Life Palace to visit the Empress Dowager and I'll go find Xiao Ru. No. You can't leave me no matter what. If the killer hasn't gone far and you meet him, wouldn't that be a dead end? I don't care. If anything happens to Xiao Ru, I don't want to live anymore. The tears in her eyes fell again and her heart was filled with unbearable pain. Before she left the palace, Xiao Ru had caught up to her and held her hand, wanting to be with her. That reluctant gaze appeared in front of her again and it filled her heart with pain. If she knew it would be like this, she would have kept Xiao Ru by her side no matter what. It was all her fault. She had kept Xiao Ru here, causing Xiao Ru's whereabouts to be unknown, and she didn't know if she was alive or dead. Chen Ning tightly bit her lips. Even when she tasted blood on the tip of her tongue, she didn't notice it at all. Mo Chuan saw this and his heart filled with pain. He forcefully shook her shoulder. Ning, I won't allow you to say this again. If you die, what will happen to me? Have you ever thought about me? Chen Ning's nose turned sour and she looked at him with a sad expression. Mo Chuan, you don't understand how important Xiao Ru is in my heart. She wants to be with me and I promised that I would never leave her, but I still left her here and let her encounter danger. If she really dies, it will be because of me. I harmed her, I harmed the best and most loyal Xiao Ru in this world. Believe me, Xiao Ru definitely isn't dead. Think about it, the killer's martial arts are unfathomable, he could easily kill these maids and eunuchs. If he really wanted to kill Xiao Ru, would Xiao Ru be able to escape? Now that Xiao Ru isn't among the corpses, there are only two possibilities. First, Xiao Ru left the Guanyu Palace before the killer arrived. I don't know where she is right now, but she must still be in the palace. I will immediately send people to find her. Second, if we can't find Xiao Ru, that means the killer took her away. This means the killer's true target is you. So he took Xiao Ru away. Since he didn't kill Xiao Ru, he must be using her life to threaten you. As long as you wait in the palace, you will definitely receive the killer's message. Mo Chuan calmly analyzed. His voice was deep and powerful. His eyes were filled with a serious look, giving him a convincing strength. In terms of intelligence, Chen Ning was not below Mo Chuan, but she was too worried, so how could she calm down and think about it? Hearing Mo Chuan's words at this time, she couldn't help nodding and saying, "You're right. Mo Chuan, let's go to the Peaceful Life Palace now." Before the two of them left, Xiao Si had already rushed back to report to Mo Chuan. Emperor, Shui Feng has already brought the secret guards around the Peaceful Life Palace, but there are no traces of the assassins. The Empress Dowager does not know anything, so this servant did not disturb the Empress Dowager, of mother is, and is. Mo Chuan looked at Chen Ning again and his mood became even heavier. Ning. Chuan looked at Chen, Chen, Ning, Chen, Xiao, Chuan just what kind of grudge did this person have with Ning, why did he want her life so badly? Chapter 1277. The Guan Osprey Palace was filled with rivers of blood and corpses covered the ground, but Mo Chuan knew that this matter couldn't be spread out, otherwise it would cause panic in everyone's hearts. Mo Chuan had already sent Xiao Si to investigate. Other than the Guan Osprey Palace, there were no other traces of the assassins and no one else had died to the assassins. Xiao Si, go find Shui Feng and then have the palace guards search the entire palace, not missing a single place. We must find Xiao Ru's whereabouts. He coldly ordered. Yes, Emperor. Xiao Ru. Xiao Ru isn't dead. Xiao Si's eyes instantly lit up. Mo Chuan nodded and said in a deep voice, but she's missing and it's possible she left the Guan Osprey Palace when the assassins came. Immediately bring people to find her, there can't be any mistakes. Xiao Si's face flashed with a look of guilt and he flew off without any hesitation. Not long after, Shui Feng appeared in front of Mo Chuan and Chen Ning. Shui Feng, this one will give you two tasks. First, find Xiao Ru's whereabouts and second, find the murderer's whereabouts. Mo Chuan immediately gave the order. Shui Feng was shocked, Miss Xiao Ru is missing. His gaze fell on the corpses and the pool of blood in the courtyard, and he shuddered. Mo Chuan then said, "You can't tell the Empress Dowager about this matter, otherwise she will be worried." "Yes, Emperor." Shui Feng's face turned serious and he suddenly said, "Empress, this subordinate wants to know which room Miss Xiao Ru is in. This subordinate wants to find something she has used before." "Alright, come with me." Although Chen Ning didn't know what Shui Feng meant, she still brought him to Xiao Ru's room. She saw that everything in the room was neatly arranged, without a single mess. It was like Xiao Ru had just left temporarily and would be back soon. She looked at this familiar scene and her eyes couldn't help turning warm as tears almost fell down. Shui Feng looked around the room and walked in front of the bed. He picked up a handkerchief on the pillow and sniffed it. "Empress, this subordinate wants this handkerchief. What do you need this for?" "There is Miss Xiao Ru's scent on it. This subordinate can use it to find Miss Xiao Ru's whereabouts." "Alright, Shui Feng, you have to find Xiao Ru. I'll leave Xiao Ru to you." Chen Ning knew that Shui Feng's tracking skill was strong, but she never thought that Shui Feng would use his sense of smell. This was simply like a police dog, instantly increasing her confidence in Shui Feng. Shui Feng walked around the room and even laid on the ground to check. He came out and walked out of the room. Looking at the corpses strewn all over the courtyard and the thick smell of blood floating in the air, his brows unconsciously furrowed even tighter. He began to walk around the courtyard, checking the pillars, the stone benches, and the flowers and plants in the flower bed. Feng Mo Chen Mo Feng. Mo Chuan and Chen Ning watched his every move without blinking. The two of them did not say a word and did not disturb him. Shui Feng finally came to the northeast corner. He looked at the base of the wall for a bit before jumping over the wall. After a while, he walked in from the main door. "Your Majesty, this subordinate can already conclude that Miss Xiao Ru has been kidnapped by the murderer." Hearing this, Mo Chuan and Chen Ning's expressions changed. Chapter 1278. Chen Ning let out a sigh of relief, but her heart was still hanging in the air. "Shui Feng, can you find the whereabouts of the culprit in Xiao Ru?" she anxiously asked. Shui Feng hesitated for a bit before replying, "This subordinate will try his best, but the culprit is very good at tracking and hiding. He didn't leave behind any traces and this subordinate finally found some clues. As for whether or not I can find the whereabouts of the culprit, this subordinate does not have a 100% guarantee. Then hurry up and look. As long as there is a glimmer of hope, we can't miss it." Mo Chuan said. "Yes." Shui Feng suddenly said, "Empress, do you remember when we were in Dr. Zhang's palace? This subordinate said that there was someone spying on us. Now this subordinate can be sure that the person spying on us is the same person as the person who broke into the palace today and the person who kidnapped Miss Xiao Ru. Moreover, I don't know why, but although this subordinate has never seen this person's face before, he seems to have a familiar feeling. Empress, think carefully, have you offended anyone?" Chen Ning looked up and thought for a bit. A thought suddenly flashed through her mind. "Shui Feng, do you remember when we were on the way to the Miracle Doctor Valley, we met that little white-eyed wolf who knew how to shrink his bones?" Shui Feng involuntarily said, "You mean the Purple Heaven Pavilion's killer?" "That's right, it's him. If I had to say who I've offended, it could only be this person." Mo Chuan interrupted, "The Purple Heaven Pavilion's killer. Ning, did you meet the Purple Heaven Pavilion's killer?" His face was surprisingly serious. "Yes, Mo Chuan, I forgot to tell you about this matter. What happened is like this." Chen Ning told Mo Chuan everything that happened when she met the one called Xiao Bao. After she finished, Mo Chuan couldn't help saying, "Ning, your heart is too kind. You have to know that it's easy to catch a tiger, but hard to let it go. How can you easily provoke the people of the Purple Heaven Pavilion? They are like maggots in the bone. Once they entangle you, they won't give up until they reach their goal. Since you've caught the killer, you should interrogate him and make him reveal the location of the Purple Heaven Pavilion's nest. I will send people to eliminate this evil in the martial arts world and eliminate this evil for the people of the martial arts world. You have to know that the Purple Heaven Pavilion has suddenly risen in the martial arts world. They are very secretive and have assassinated who knows how many people of the martial arts world. There is no one who doesn't hate the Purple Heaven Pavilion to the bone. Continuing this organization will only bring disaster to the world and cause more people to die. Chen Ning said with an ashamed expression, "It's all my fault, I was soft-hearted." Although I knew he was using a bone-shrinking technique, seeing that he was only a 5 or 6-year-old child, I couldn't bring myself to torture him. If I knew he was this ruthless, I wouldn't have been merciful back then. If I could, she would have she bit of. Chapter 1279. But if I didn't let that little white-eyed wolf go, Xiaoru wouldn't have been kidnapped by him. I used that kind of method to humiliate him, so he must have hated me to the bone. If he took out his hatred for me on Xiaoru, how would I have the face to see Xiaoru? Chen Ning's eyes sparkled with tears. Thinking of Xiaoru falling into the hands of the Purple Heaven Pavilion assassin, her heart felt like it was being stabbed by 10,000 needles. Shui Feng, are you sure that the person who kidnapped Xiaoru is that assassin? She still had a tiny bit of hope in her heart, hoping that it wasn't this person. Shui Feng nodded. When the Empress mentioned that assassin, this subordinate remembered. No wonder this subordinate felt that he was familiar, so it was him. He had a natural sensitivity to smells, and after smelling it, it would leave a memory in his mind. Only after so many days, Xiao Bao's smell had already faded, so even though he had found the assassin's hiding place, he didn't think of this person at all. Chen Ning's heart sank and her last bit of hope was shattered. However, she quickly took a breath and clenched her fists. Shui Feng, immediately go and find Xiaoru and this person's whereabouts. If he dares to harm a single hair on Xiaoru's head, I will return it 10 times over. Yes. Shui Feng knew this matter was very urgent, so he didn't delay any longer. He sniffed the air with his nose and then flew off in the northeast direction. Ning believe in Shui Feng, he will definitely find Xiaoru. With his skills, he is not below that assassins, he will definitely bring Xiaoru back safely. Mo Chuan held on to Chen Ning because she was already swaying. When his arm grabbed her waist, she fell into his embrace. Her face was as white as paper, without a trace of blood, making her eyes seem even darker. Grabbing Mo Chuan's sleeve, her eyes were filled with guilt. Mo Chuan, the people in the palace all died because of me. The person that assassin wanted to kill was me, not them. It was because he couldn't find me that he killed them to vent his anger. Mo Chuan didn't wait for her to finish before cutting her off. The Purple Heaven Pavilion's people are cruel and murderous. Do they need a reason to kill? Even if you stay here, do you think that after the assassin kills you, he will let them go? You still think that the people of Purple Heaven Pavilion are too kind. In order to achieve their goals, they can be said to be unscrupulous. As long as they can complete the task, it doesn't matter how many people they kill. In their eyes, killing people is like stepping on ants. As long as they have money, they can kill anyone. Last year, there was a massacre in Nanxing. A Jianghu senior who had retired for many years and his entire family of 103 people were killed by the people of Zixiao Pavilion. The murderer even set fire to the scene and turned it into a pile of ruins. The fire spread to the surrounding area, and hundreds of families were destroyed because of this fire, causing public anger in the martial arts world. There were countless incidents like this. Over the years, the Purple Heaven Pavilion had become the scum of the martial arts world. There was no one who didn't want to eradicate it. Unfortunately, their whereabouts are too mysterious, and no one has even seen their true faces. However, since they dared to target you, I will absolutely not let them off. Chapter 1280. Legend has it that there were many experts in Purple Heaven Pavilion, and there were many martial arts experts that wanted to eliminate evil for the people. They formed an alliance and sent people into Purple Heaven Pavilion, wanting to eliminate them in one fell swoop. But this alliance of experts never returned, and there was no news of them ever again. It was said that everyone was buried in Purple Heaven Pavilion. From then on, the people of the Jianghu changed their expressions when mentioning Purple Heaven Pavilion. Everyone gnashed their teeth in hatred, but no one dared to touch the tiger whiskers of the Purple Heaven Pavilion anymore. Think about it carefully. How did you provoke the assassins of Purple Heaven Pavilion? You don't know martial arts, you're not a person of the Jianghu, and you've never had any grudges with anyone. It seems like they don't need to take your life, right? A doubt appeared in Imo Chuan's heart, and he couldn't understand it no matter what. Chen Ning thought about it. The first time I saw the assassins of Purple Heaven Pavilion, it was in the East Qin guest house. East Qin. Could this matter be related to Na Mukyo? Imo Chuan knit his brows. She shook her head and said, I'm not sure what happened, but the night before Na Mukyo left the capital, there were indeed assassins from Purple Heaven Pavilion that came to assassinate him. According to Na Mukyo, this wasn't the first time. That night, all the assassins were annihilated, all of them killed themselves, not leaving a single one alive. After that, on the way to the Miracle Physician Valley, the assassin named Xiao Bao suddenly appeared. This time his target was me, and I also found the unique symbol of Purple Heaven Pavilion on his shoes. Mo Chuan said in a deep voice, if that's the case, then Purple Heaven Pavilion and you have no grudges. Then there must be someone who hates you, so they spent a large amount of money to invite people from Purple Heaven Pavilion to take your life. I suspect that this matter and the matter of the snake being swapped out are the same person. Chen Ning opened her beautiful eyes and looked at him without blinking. Why do you have this kind of suspicion? Mo Chuan calmly analyzed, the matter of you being poisoned last time was very strange. Even now, we still haven't found out who the mastermind was. When you left the capital, I sent people to monitor He Shou-Jing, but he didn't make any strange movements. He only interacted with the people from the country guarding palace once. Because the country guarding palace is old and weak, he doesn't care about worldly affairs. He hasn't been in court for a long time, and he hasn't even seen you. If you say that this matter was done by the country guarding palace, I really can't believe it. But to be able to assassinate to be this way without any flaws and to be so meticulous, it is impossible. Only a well-trained assassin would be able to do this, leaving no traces. This means that the mastermind is that you. This means that the assassin is. This is that the guarding palace is, it is that is it. Heaven Pavilion is to be. In fact, the name of the murderer was already on the verge of being revealed. It was just that this name was too heavy for him to say. Chen Ning's eyes sparkled and she pursed her lips, but she did not say anything. Chapter 1281. Chen Ning lowered her lashes, but she still did not say a word. She had already guessed it was Xiao Rong Princess, but thinking of her relationship with Mo Chuan, she didn't say anything. Mo Chuan took a deep breath and decided to face this matter, even though this matter made him feel shocked and incredulous. After that incident, you speculated that the mastermind behind this incident must have an illustrious identity. Moreover, she was very familiar with Mai and the Princess Royal's character. She knew that I was afraid of snakes since I was young, so the person who used the trick of swapping poisonous snakes would not be me, but you. After the incident, she purposely set up a diversion and had a lowly city gate official deliver the antidote. Then, she led the clues to the Duke of Jingui. But the reason I never suspected Zhao Rong was because no matter how evil she was still a 16-year-old girl. How could she be so scheming and careful with every step? This was also something that I couldn't understand no matter how much I thought about it. If it wasn't Zhao Rong, I can't think of anyone else that would have this kind of deep hatred for you. No matter what, Zhao Rong and the people from the Purple Heaven Pavilion must be connected. Even if the matter last time had nothing to do with her, the killer that came to the palace today must be related to her. If Xiao Ru was really kidnapped by the Purple Heaven Pavilion's assassins, I think Zhui Feng won't be able to find anything this time. The Purple Heaven Pavilion's assassins are experts at hiding their tracks, so the assassin's tracking technique should not be below Zhui Feng's. Chen Ning looked up at the northeast direction Zhui Feng left in. Her brows slightly knit. Mentioning Xiao Ru, she couldn't help being moved. Zhui Feng can't find the assassin's whereabouts, but there is one person he can definitely find. That person is Zhao Rong Princess. She said word for word. Mo Chuan's eyes lit up. That's right, Zhao Rong is still in Mother's palace, so she will definitely contact the assassin. As long as Zhui Feng follows her, he will definitely find the assassin's whereabouts. Why didn't I think of this earlier? I'll immediately call Zhui Feng back. He clapped his hand and called over the secret guards, ordering them to immediately find Zhui Feng. These secret guards were the same as Zhui Feng. They had received strict training since they were young. Although their tracking techniques couldn't compare to Zhui Feng's, they were only slightly weaker. Not to mention the fact that the secret guards had an invisible way to communicate with each other. Ning Er, from now on, you are not allowed to leave my side. I'm worried that the Purple Heaven Pavilion assassin will find you and make a move. No matter how vicious that murderer is, he's still someone who took someone's money to eliminate a disaster. Don't tell me that I have to hide under your wings for the rest of my life just because I'm afraid that the killer will come for my head. Chen Ning curled her lips and revealed a sarcastic smile. The enemy was hiding in the shadows, mysterious and strong. It was as if he could kill her with a single move. But was she afraid? Of course not. Ning He, you can't stay here any longer. You should stay in my previous palace for now. Mo Chuan looked around. The smell of blood in the air still hadn't dissipated. Ning He, you can't stay here any longer. No, I want to stay here. If that killer wants my life, let him come and take it at any time. Chapter 1282. Chen Ning curled her lips into a smile. I won't give up until I reach my goal. Very good, I hope that he can come find me again. Mo Chuan, although I don't know martial arts, I'm not a doll that can be manipulated by others. If he wants my head, he has to see if he has the skills. Although Mo Chuan knew that she was smart, she was not facing a normal person, rather she was facing an experienced assassin from the Purple Heaven Pavilion. Even he had to be careful. No, I definitely can't let you be in any danger. I won't be in danger, the ones in danger are others. Mo Chuan, you don't need to worry about me, I'm the one who's starting to worry about you. Worry about me? What would happen to me? Chen Ning's clear eyes looked at him. Do you really not know, or are you pretending not to know? You little girl, if you have something to say, just say it. You're not allowed to speak in riddles in front of me. Mo Chuan angrily stared at her. Alright, since it's like this, I'll speak the truth. Do you think that today's matter is over? I believe that in just a few days, the Empress Dowager will bring up this matter again. I'm afraid you won't be able to escape. Mo Chuan's heart trembled and he said in a deep voice, you're referring to Zhao Rong's matter. She clearly reaped what she sowed. How could mother let me marry this kind of scheming girl? Do you think she won't? In our eyes, Zhao Rong is indeed scheming and her methods are ruthless, but in the eyes of the Empress Dowager, it might not be like this. Actually, Zhao Rong only needs a very good reason to do this for the Empress Dowager to forgive her. That is, she likes you and she won't marry anyone but you. Chen Ning only needed to see Empress Dowager Zhou's eyes and her last words to guess what she was thinking. She did not plan on pursuing Zhao Rong's mistake at all. Even if she knew that it was Zhao Rong who hired assassins to kill her, Empress Dowager Zhou would still protect her. Ning, mother is not like what you think. She does things fairly, and although she does favor Zhao Rong, if Zhao Rong does something wrong, mother will definitely punish her and will not let it go. I am mother's biological daughter, but ever since I was young, as long as I did something wrong, mother has never shown any mercy to me. The eldest princess is also her biological daughter, but she is even stricter with Enlo than she is with me. How could she let Zhao Rong do as she pleases? As long as Imperial Mother knows what Zhao Rong has done, she will definitely not force me to take Zhao Rong as my consort. Mo Chuan disagreed with Chen Ning's words. In his heart, Empress Dowager Zhou was a strict mother, so he respected Empress Dowager Zhou more than he loved her. Chen Ning couldn't help rolling her eyes at him. How can you men understand women? It is because you and the eldest princess are the Empress Dowager's children that she is strict and harsh. No matter what she does to you, it will not affect your mother and son relationship, but Zhao Rong is different because her mother entrusted her to the Empress Dowager. The Empress Dowager is a person whose words are as heavy as a mountain. She will do whatever she promises. So no matter what Zhao Rong does, she will protect Zhao Rong to the end, as long as Zhao Rong does not personally kill someone in front of her. Chapter 1283. Chen Ning softly said, "This is a woman. As long as Zhao Rong insists that she did all these things for you, the Empress Dowager's heart will soften and she will forgive her for everything." Mo Chuan looked at her with a strange gaze. What are you women's brains thinking? How could you have this kind of strange thought? She gave a self-deprecating smile and said, "Women are emotional and men are rational. It is because of this that Zhao Rong would disregard everything and do all these crazy things to obtain you." Mo Chuan, what did you do to her to make her so loyal to you and hate me to the bone? She raised her eyelashes and revealed a smile as she looked at Mo Chuan. Ning, there is nothing between me and Zhao Rong. She was only 13 when she left the capital city. Do you think I'm a beast? What would I do to a 13-year-old girl? Mo Chuan raised his brows at her. Then how would I know? Chen Ning's eyes suddenly looked in the direction of the Peaceful Life Palace. Mo Chuan, if anything happens to Xiao Ru, I don't care if she is your cousin or older cousin, I will not let her go. She gritted her teeth. She didn't care how Zhao Rong harmed her, but she would not allow Zhao Rong to harm the people by her side, especially Xiao Ru, who was loyal to her and closer than a sister. This was the first person who had given her warmth since she came to this era. You don't plan on telling mother what Zhao Rong did? Mo Chuan did not care what she did to Zhao Rong, he only cared about her. Is there any use in telling the Empress Dowager? I think the current Zhao Rong princess must be crying like a pear blossom in the rain, looking very pitiful. The Empress Dowager can't even love her anymore, not to mention the matter between Zhao Rong and the Purple Heaven Pavilion is just our speculation, there is no proof. Do you think the Empress Dowager will believe my empty words? Mo Chuan, this cousin of yours is also very smart. Today in the Peaceful Life Palace, she put on a good show that made me look at her in a new light. She couldn't help thinking that the Zhao Rong princess was much smarter than the first time she met her. When she met her on the way back to the capital city, the Zhao Rong princess was still an unruly girl who only knew how to act. She didn't look like she was that smart. The second time she met her in the Taihe floor, she still had a look of hatred on her face. But Zhao Rong's performance today made her have a new opinion. She had endured it in front of Empress Dowager Zhou, not revealing a trace of hatred towards her and not loudly scolding her. She was pretending to be a pitiful little white flower. If she didn't understand the Zhao Rong princess, she would have thought it was a completely different person. It had to be known that Zhao Rong Junju hated her to the bone. She had always been arrogant and unruly, with an explosive temper. It wouldn't be strange at all if she raised her hand and scolded someone she didn't like. The strange thing was that she knew how to act. Mo Chuanning's actions were good, but she knew how to act. You're saying that there is someone behind Zhao Rong? Mo Chuan's expression slightly changed. He thought back to the scene he had seen in Peaceful Life Palace and felt it was strange. With Zhao Rong Junju's personality, she was not the kind of person who would cry after being wronged. Chapter 1284. Mo Chuan clapped his hands and suddenly said, I know. The person who helped Zhao Rong with this plan is someone from the Purple Heaven Pavilion. I didn't understand before. Zhao Rong is so young, how could she think of this kind of complicated revenge plan? If this series of events was planned by someone from the Purple Heaven Pavilion, then it makes sense. Chen Ning revealed a faint smile. Mo Chuan, you're still praising me for being smart, but you're clearly smarter than me. Mo Chuan glared at her and said, but there's one thing I still don't understand. When you and I got married, Zhao Rong wasn't in the capital and she didn't even see you, so why would she make a move against you? Chen Ning gave a faint sigh. The person she wanted to harm wasn't necessarily me. The person she hated to death at the time was your Empress. No matter who sat in that position, she couldn't tolerate it. Although she said this, there was still a trace of doubt in her heart. This was because the first incident with the poisonous snake left a deep impression on her. It could be said to be an extremely elaborate killing plan that had almost no flaws. The second time she met the Purple Heaven Pavilion assassin, it was Xiao Bao who knew the bone-shrinking technique. Although that plan could be considered clever, it couldn't compare to the first series of plans. Today's matter in the Guanyu Palace could be considered the third time she met the Purple Heaven Pavilion assassin. This time it was even simpler. The other side couldn't find her people, so they killed the palace maids and eunuchs to vent their anger. This kind of action was like a bad-tempered child who couldn't get candy, so they smashed their toys to vent their anger. Chen Ning only had one word to describe this kind of action: childish. Zhao Rong Princess had played out 2 plays in the Royal Study and the Peaceful Life Palace. Although it could be considered a setup, it was very rough, allowing her to instantly find a flaw. The 2 assassinations after that with Zhao Rong's performance, compared to the perfect assassination plan from the first time, did not seem like it was done by the same person. But no matter what, she still saw 2 sharp weapons slowly reaching out towards her from the fog. They had large fangs and if she wasn't careful, she would lose her life. She was in the light before and the other side was in the dark. Now that the other side had revealed their identity, she, Chen Ning, would not sit and wait for death. A tooth for a tooth, an eye for an eye. This was Chen Ning's style of doing things. Mo Chuan, can you send me to Dr. Zhang's palace tonight? I have something I want to ask my master about. Why do you want to find him? Do you really need him to teach you and I can't? Hearing Gu Qing's name, Mo Chuan's face slightly sunk. Even though Gu Qingze had developed the Pushing Mountain crossbow, shocking the world and even generously giving him the priceless Pushing Mountain crossbow's blueprint, when he heard Chen Ning confidently mention the word master, his heart was in a bad mood. He didn't know why, but he couldn't help having this hostility towards Gu Qingze. He didn't have Mo, but he couldn't help having this hostility towards Gu Qingze. Chen Ning's sparkling eyes looked at him like she could see through his thoughts. She said with a smile, Mo Chuan, if I didn't understand you, I would have suspected that you were jealous of my master. I'm Xian Yi Am. Mo Chuan said. However, his natural arrogance prevented him from admitting it. Chapter 1285. Mo Chuan was magnanimous and generous in front of Chen Ning. But once he arrived at Dr. Zhang's palace, he felt even more dissatisfied. Chen Ning immediately pulled Gu Qingze into the quiet room. When Mo Chuan was prepared to follow, she suddenly turned around. Mo Chuan, I have a very important matter to discuss with my master, so I'll have to trouble you to wait outside. That's right, you can't let anyone eavesdrop on my conversation with my master. I believe you can do this, right? She gave him an apologetic smile, and before waiting for his reply, she closed the door and slammed it shut. Mo Chuan looked at the two closed doors, and the flames in his eyes almost burned the doors. This damned lass, she actually wanted him, a dignified emperor, to act as a lookout. Was there anything more insulting than this? He gritted his teeth and wished he could smash the door with his fist. Then he would drag out that skinny young man who always sat in a wheelchair to teach him a lesson. But thinking about how this fellow had painstakingly created the mountain-pushing crossbow's blueprint and how he had saved Xu Xiaobai from the gates of hell, his fist stopped in midair. Forget it. Seeing that this fellow had some talent and that he was Ning Er's master, he would endure it. Mo Chuan took a deep breath and suppressed the turbid air in his chest. Since he wanted to do it, he would do it to the best of his ability. Not only would he not let others eavesdrop on their conversation, he would not eavesdrop on them either. Mo Chuan directly entered the room Xu Xiaobai was in. Dr. Zhang was standing in front of the bed with a stunned expression. Only when Mo Chuan walked in front of him did he realize it. When he came back to his senses and saw that the person in front of him was Mo Chuan, Dr. Zhang almost fell off his chair. Emperor! Emperor, this old minister greets the emperor. Mo Chuan reached out to support him, and Dr. Zhang could no longer kneel down. He stood up and revealed a respectful expression. Dr. Zhang, is Xiaobai still not awake? Mo Chuan asked in a soft voice. His eyes fell onto Xu Xiaobai's face with a look of concern. The current Xu Xiaobai was completely different from the living dead state he was before. His face had already recovered its luster, and there was even a faint trace of blood. His eyes were closed and he was sleeping very peacefully. His lips were slightly curled up like he was having a beautiful dream. Mo Chuan did not dare speak loudly like this, afraid of waking him up from his dream. Yes, King Jing'an still hasn't woken up. Dr. Zhang replied in a small voice. Mo Chuan noticed the confusion on his face and asked, is there something wrong with Xiaobai's condition? Or is it recurring? No, not at all. King Jing'an's current condition is very good. This old minister has just taken his pulse, and his pulse is becoming stronger and stronger. Moreover, his internal energy has been slowly circulating. No, Dr. Zhang, Xiao of Mo Chuan said with a sigh. Xiao, Chuan, you, of Chu, Chuan said, Chuan of Xiao. Chen of Shi, Xiao Qin, Xiao said, this. This one will send Xiao Si to take care of Xiao Bai. This one will send Xiao Si over to take care of Xiao Bai. Dr. Zhang waved his hand, being able to see King Jing and getting better day by day. This old minister is happier than anything. Only. Chapter 1286. But what? Mo Chuan's heart jumped up. Dr. Zhang said, but this old minister feels it strange. King Jing'an's pulse is very stable. He should have woken up a long time ago, but he has already slept for 2 days and hasn't opened his eyes at all. This kind of situation, this old minister has never seen it in his decades of practicing medicine, so this is very puzzling. Mo Chuan couldn't help knitting his brows. Although he wasn't skilled in medicine, he knew that Dr. Zhang was telling the truth. Then what did the divine Dr. Gu say? He asked. The divine Dr. Gu said that King Jing'an can eat and sleep now, so he won't die. He told this old minister not to meddle in other people's business. Dr. Zhang replied with an awkward expression. Mo Chuan's face instantly sunk and he gave a snort. This Gu Qingze, he actually said this kind of irresponsible words. What did he mean by he can eat and sleep and won't die? But the divine Dr. Gu's words aren't wrong. Although King Jing'an hasn't woken up yet, when this old minister feeds him, King Jing'an knows to swallow and his complexion is getting better day by day. Perhaps this old minister really is thinking too much. Dr. Zhang said. These words were also reasonable. Mo Chuan nodded. He could see that Chu Xiaobai was indeed getting better and it was very obvious. Perhaps Xiaobai is too tired, so he wants to have a good rest. I don't know how long it has been since he could rest like this without any worries, so let him sleep. This one is very envious of him, being able to have such a good sleep. After he said this, he said in a soft voice, Xiaobai, this one really hopes that you can wake up soon, get well soon, and return to this one side. There have been many things that have happened recently that have made this one very tired. If you were by this one side, you would be able to solve many of this one's worries. But this one's thoughts are too selfish. You have been working hard for the royal family these past few years, it has been very hard on you. Now you should rest well and this one will come visit you often. Chu Xiaobai quietly laid there, not even moving his eyelashes, sleeping very soundly. Mo Chuan silently stood in front of the bed for a while. When he heard the door to the next room open with a zhi sound, he slowly walked out. Chen Ning pushed Gu Qingze to the door and bumped into Mo Chuan. Mo Chuan, is Xiaobai awake? Chen Ning asked. Mo Chuan shook his head and coldly looked at Gu Qingze. Why don't you ask your master? He should know Xiaobai's matter better than anyone else. Gu Qingze acted like he did not hear anything as he said to Qin. He said to Qin, Xiaobai, do you want me to personally make a move? I've memorized all of them. Master, there's no need to trouble you with such a small matter. I can handle it myself. Mo Qin said with a chin. She looked up and apologetically looked at Mo Chuan because Mo Chuan's expression was very ugly. She knew that Gu Qingze was deliberately ignoring him. Sigh, I don't know if these two people are born to be enemies. As soon as they meet, the atmosphere is not right. It's like a needle against an awl, full of gunpowder. Xiao King, T, Qin Xiao Qin, T King of, Minister Long, King of Xiao Chuan Mo, and said. Xiao Qin, Xiao. Chapter 1287. Chen Ning knew that Gu Qingze was not in a good mood when she heard this. She looked at Mo Chuan and saw that a storm was brewing. She stuck out her tongue and decided to separate the two of them as soon as possible. Mo Chuan, let's go. Master, I'll leave Xiaobai to you. She did not dare stay any longer. If Gu Qingze was not happy and blurted out the matter of her going to the godly Dr. Valley, then Mo Chuan would even have the heart to swallow her alive. Gu Qingze gave a non-committal snort. Mo Chuan's expression did not look any better. He was the ruler of a country, but this Gu Qingze did not seem to have an emperor in his eyes. He had never bowed to him, not even addressing him respectfully, completely disregarding him. If it was anyone else, perhaps they would have already given the order to chop off his head. Mo Chuan thought that he was already magnanimous enough towards Gu Qingze. As long as he did not touch his reverse scale, he could tolerate anything else. Speaking of this, although Gu Qingze was arrogant and rude, he had silently done several things that were beneficial to him. Just based on these things, Mo Chuan would not do anything to him. Chen Ning quickly pulled Mo Chuan out of Dr. Zhang's palace. Mo Chuan noticed that she had taken a bulging bag from Gu Qingze and was carrying it on her back, looking very careful. What's in this bag? I'll help you take it. He reached out to take it, but she dodged to the side. No need. This bag isn't heavy at all, I'll carry it myself. She smiled at him, but Mo Chuan could not smile at all. His face was as cold as ice. What was in the bag that was worth her protecting it like a treasure, not even letting him touch it? Once she returned to the palace, Chen Ning immediately went into her bedroom and opened the large bag in her bag. Mo Chuan stood on the side and saw her take out bottles and boxes from the bag. There were also some strange things that he had never seen before and he didn't know what they were for. A strange feeling filled his heart. Did Gu Qingzi give her all these random things? He casually picked up a box and weighed it in his hand. He felt that it was not heavy at all, so he opened it. No. Don't open it no matter what. Chen Ning saw it and gave a surprised cry, stealing the box from his hand. Mo Chuan's face turned even darker. I can't even touch the things he gave you, he said in a cold voice, resisting the urge to smash these things into pieces. The jealousy in his voice could not be concealed. Chen Ning was a bit stunned. Looking up at him, she noticed that his face was as black as the bottom of a pot. She had been thinking about Gu Qingzi's words on the road, repeating them over and over again, not noticing Mo Chuan's expression at all. At this time, she realized that Mo Chuan had completely misunderstood. If she didn't explain it clearly, Ning Ning would be. Mo Chuan. Mo Chuan's heart. Ning Ning, Ning Ning, Mo Ning said, Ning. Qingning was Ning's words. Am I thinking too much, or did he give me too many things? I never knew that you liked these kinds of things. I gave you a present, but you didn't even look at it. Mo gave. What is it? Chen Ning opened her eyes wide and looked at him in surprise. Chapter 1288. He knew that she didn't notice it at all, but she really didn't know. What she didn't know was that the entire Guan Osprey Palace was personally designed by him. The bed, the table, even the vase, and even the clothes in the wardrobe were all personally chosen by him. Only he knew how much thought he had put into this Guan Osprey Palace. He didn't want to tell her all of this, he just wanted her to be happy. If she said, "This vase is really pretty," he would be secretly happy in his heart and be happy for the entire day. If she casually said, "Why is this teapot so strange?" then the teapot would disappear the next day, and a new teapot would appear. There was also the jewelry box on the dresser. Each piece of jewelry was carefully chosen by him for her. He knew that she didn't like gaudy things, so each piece of jewelry was very delicate, like it was a work of art. But no matter how beautiful or good the jewelry was, she never looked at it. She let the jewelry he chose for her be covered in a thick layer of dust. He saw all of this, and although he was disappointed, he didn't say anything. He just kept putting small gifts in different places in the room every day, hoping to attract her attention and receive a pleasantly surprised sigh from her. But there was nothing. He spent so much effort, but she didn't even look at it in her eyes. But that pile of messy things that Gu Qingzi gave her, she treated it like a treasure, not even allowing herself to touch it. Mo Chuan felt more and more indignant the more he thought about it. He suddenly picked up a wooden box on the table and quickly opened it. Humph, not letting him touch it, not letting him look at it. He wanted to see what kind of amazing treasures this surnamed Gu had given her. Mo Chuan, don't. Chen Ning cried out in shock. She wanted to stop him, but it was too late. How could she be faster than Mo Chuan? She could only watch as Mo Chuan opened the lid of the wooden box and saw Mo Chuan's eyes instantly pop out. This. Mo Chuan's hand trembled and the wooden box fell to the ground with a paw sound. A long snake that looked like a spotted ribbon fell out of the box. His eyes stared right at the long snake. His back was stiff and it was like his acupuncture point had been poked. Although he could tell with a single glance that this was a dead snake, the deep-rooted fear and disgust in his heart almost made him lose control of his emotions. I told you not to open it, but you insisted on opening it. I just didn't want you to see this. Now that you've seen it, are you regretting it? Chen Ning pursed her lips. Seeing Mo Chuan become like a puppet, she found it both funny and angry. Why did he give this thing to you? Mo Chuan swallowed his saliva before he could say anything. As the saying goes, once bitten by a snake, twice shy. Not long ago, he had personally witnessed the scene of her being bitten by a poisonous snake, so when he saw the snake, his whole body tensed up like a bow. This is called the many-banded kite, one of the top 10 poisonous snakes in the world. This is a very rare treasure. Chen Ning smiled as she bent down. She picked up the dead many-banded kite and placed it back into the box, closing the lid. All right, little snake is gone. She giggled as she spoke to him in a coaxing tone. She even stuck out her tongue and made a face at him. Chapter 1289. He always had a cold expression on his face, rarely showing any lively expressions. But when he saw the snake, his expression completely changed. Chen Ning couldn't help wanting to tease him. Mo Chuan glared at her and then his eyes fell onto the unopened boxes on the side. All of these are those things. He pointed at them with a lingering fear, but he did not dare open any of the boxes. Those things, what are they? Chen Ning revealed a smile. She couldn't help teasing him, so she picked up a box and sent it over to him. Do you want to open it and see? Mo Chuan looked like he had seen a monster. He suddenly took a step back and stared at Chen Ning. I'm not looking. He. Chen Ning said with a smile, the white-browed viper in this box has 2 white eyebrows and is ranked 5th among the 10 most poisonous snakes. This snake is very poisonous, but it is already dead and won't bite people, so you don't need to be nervous. Who says I'm nervous? I hate snakes. Mo Chuan raised his chin and forced himself to calm down. All right. You don't like these snakes, but I like them a lot. Each snake in here is very rare. I don't know where my master found all these treasures, but he actually generously gave them all to me. She stroked the wooden box and revealed a look of gratitude. Mo Chuan couldn't help saying, Ning, you've just been bitten by a snake, aren't you afraid of these things? Chen Ning gave a poochie laugh and said, why would I be afraid? They are all dead. Not to mention that they are dead and can't bite me, even if they were alive, I wouldn't need to be afraid. Did you forget that my master gave me 100 poison-resistant spirit rhinoceros pill? Your master, can you not mention those 3 words? Mo Chuan finally couldn't take it anymore and shouted. Right now, his ears were filled with the 3 words my master. As soon as he heard these 3 words, Gu Qing's eccentric face would appear before his eyes, causing him to be unable to vent his anger. He didn't like Gu Qing's. He didn't like him at all. He even felt annoyed just hearing his name. All right, I won't mention it. Mo Chuan, can you leave first, Chen Ning reached out and pushed him out the door. Mo Chuan was even more unhappy. He stood there without moving, as if his feet were rooted to the ground. Why do you want to chase me away? His face clearly had the word unhappy written on it. Chen Ning angrily and amusingly stomped her foot. All right, I won't chase you away, but when you see what I'm going to do, you can't be afraid. Mo Chuan gave a cold laugh. I've never known fear. Well, stay here, then, but don't make a noise to disturb me. He replied. He sat down in the chair and looked at her. Chen Ning took out all the things in her bag and placed them on the table in an orderly manner. She thought about it for a bit before taking out a red lacquered wooden box and opening it. The moment the box was opened, Mo Chuan's back couldn't help turning stiff. Fortunately, it wasn't a poisonous snake in the box, but a lifelike giant centipede. It was red and black, and one could tell at a glance that it was poisonous. Mo Chuan, he, the mo, him, he. The spirit, at, goo. What the hell was this Guqingzi doing? Why did he send so many venomous insects and poisonous things to her? Chapter 1290. This centipede is called a red dragon centipede and its poison is 10 times stronger than normal centipedes. Mo Chuan, do you know where this centipede's poison is? Chen Ning took out the red dragon centipede and placed it on the table. She looked up at Mo Chuan with a faint smile as she asked this. How could Mo Chuan know? He didn't want to know at all. Although he was not afraid of centipedes, seeing that the centipede's curved body was similar to a snake's, his heart felt numb. How could this girl's courage be this big? Holding this kind of poisonous thing, her expression did not change at all. She even had a smile on her face, as if what she was holding was a rare treasure. However, perhaps these poisonous snakes and centipedes were rare treasures in her eyes. This was because when she saw these poisonous snakes, her eyes sparkled. She was even more excited than when she saw jewelry or rouge. It was a good thing that Chen Ning did not need him to answer. She took out a small knife and cut off the front legs of the centipede in a very skilled manner. Many people's expressions change when they mention centipedes, thinking that their entire body is poisonous, but this is a mistake. The centipede's poison is mainly concentrated in its head, or more accurately, its front legs. Cutting off a centipede's head, not only is it not poisonous, its body is actually a delicacy. Mo Chuan, have you eaten fried centipede meat before? Chen Ning dealt with the poison sac on the centipede's front legs while explaining in detail to Mo Chuan. Mo Chuan's expression kept changing and his lips kept twitching. I've never eaten it before, he said in a stiff voice as he stared at the red and black centipede. He was thinking that even if he died, he wouldn't eat this ugly and disgusting poisonous centipede. Chen Ning poured the poison from the poison sac into a small crystal bowl. Hearing Mo Chuan's strange voice, she looked up at him and saw him staring at the centipede with a look of disgust. She couldn't help pursing her lips into a smile. After she dealt with the poison sac, she walked over and used a small knife to cut off the centipede's head. She gently peeled off the outer shell, revealing the snow-white meat. If this centipede meat is fried and mixed with spices, it would be an incomparable delicacy. The more poisonous the centipede is, the more delicious its meat is. It's a pity that this kind of red dragon centipede is hard to come by, otherwise I could fry several dozen of them for you to eat and you wouldn't be able to stop eating. She regretfully placed the centipede meat to the side and then gave a sigh. Although the centipede meat was snow-white and looked very pretty, Mo Chuan's heart was still a bit scared. He did not have any interest in eating centipedes at all. Ning, is this grass poisonous? Mo Chuan moved his attention away from the centipede and looked at her busy hands. At this time, she was holding a stalk of hay in her hand, and was grinding it into powder in the stone mill. This kind of grass is called delphinium. It is not poisonous, but everything in the world is mutually exclusive. When the originally harmless delphinium meets the venom of the red dragon centipede, it will produce a miraculous effect. Chen Ning explained with a faint smile. Some of this knowledge came from her memory palace and some was just passed on to her by Guqingzi. For example, the formula of the medicine she was concocting right now had miraculous effects that she had never heard of before. Oh, what effect will there be? Mo Chuan's eyes filled with interest. Looking at Mo Chuan, who was like a curious baby, Chen Ning raised her brows and smiled. Chapter 1291. Mo Chuan looked at her strange eyes and shivered. He shook his head without even thinking and said, "This is bad." Chen Ning began to giggle. She took out an incense burner and opened the lid. She threw in a normal-looking gray herb and lit it on fire. Mo Chuan thought that she was burning incense, so he didn't mind. The incense burner released a faint white smoke that filled the room. A slightly spicy smell filled his nose and Mo Chuan couldn't help sneezing twice. Ning, what are you burning? Is it poisonous? This is ginger. Don't tell me you don't even know ginger. She looked at him with a teasing smile. Who says I don't know it? Mo Chuan's face turned slightly red and he turned his head away. Chen Ning did not say anything else and just stared at the incense burner, occasionally sprinkling some powder inside. Mo Chuan felt it was more and more strange. He didn't know what she was doing, but he knew that even if he asked, she wouldn't tell him. Not long from now, he would know the answer to this mystery. After a while, the fire in the burner was extinguished. Chen Ning opened the lid and gathered the remaining powder inside before looking up at Mo Chuan. I'm going to extract the venom from those snakes now. Do you want to stay here and watch? As soon as her voice fell, it was like Mo Chuan's but had been stabbed. He jumped up with a so sound and disappeared in front of her. Chen Ning looked at the two doors that were still shaking and she couldn't help bending over in laughter. Mo Chuan stood at the door and heard her silver bell-like laughter. He gritted his teeth in hate. This little girl, she actually dared to laugh at him. Humph, once she's done, see how he'll take care of her. Chen Ning closed the door and returned to the room. She followed the method Gu Qingze taught her and began to concentrate on her work. Mo Chuan could hear rustling sounds coming from the room, but he couldn't guess what she was busy with. Suddenly, his ears moved and he looked at the door to the yard. Reporting to the emperor, this subordinate has found Shui Feng. A secret guard appeared in the shadows at the door and respectfully replied. Where is he? Mo Chuan knit his brows. Shui Feng, he is currently bathing. The secret guard hesitated before replying. Bathing? Mo Chuan almost suspected that he had heard wrong. After a pause, he said, have him come see this one. Immediately. Immediately. His voice was already very strict. This damn Shui Feng, he had been by his side for so many years, but he couldn't even tell what was important, actually rushing to take a bath at this time. Mo Chuan could no longer suppress the anger in his heart. Yes, yes. The shadow guard agreed and hurriedly retreated. After a while, there was a wet person in the yard. He looked as if he had just been fished out of the river. Water was dripping from head to toe, and his clothes were clinging tightly to his body. He looked extremely battered. If it wasn't for Mo Chuan's sharp eyes, he wouldn't have believed that this drenched fellow was the meticulously combed Shui Feng. Shui Feng, what happened? Shui Feng. Mo Chuan's brows knit together. There seemed to be a stench in the air that was becoming thicker and thicker. He sniffed and found that the smell was coming from Shui Feng. This subordinate. Shui Feng's head was lowered and his voice was low, filled with indescribable frustration. Chapter 1292. Hearing this, Shui Feng's face instantly turned red to his ears. Yes, it's this subordinate's incompetence, falling for someone else's trap. He was filled with shame. Mo Chuan had just casually said this, he never thought that he would guess correctly. He was stunned for a bit and seeing Shui Feng's head almost touching the ground, he knew that he was filled with shame, so he did not ask any more. You can leave first. Come see this one after you're clean. Yes, thank you, Emperor. Shui Feng flew away like he had been granted amnesty. His heart was filled with shame and anger, almost breaking his teeth from gritting them. This time, he could be said to have gained nothing. No, the only thing he gained was the stench of a manure pit. Shui Feng had always thought that his tracking skills were unparalleled in the world. Although he did not boast in front of Qin Ning, he was filled with confidence. This was because he had found a clue left behind by the killer in the corner of the wall, so he followed this clue. His tracking was not very smooth as the traces left behind by the killer would disappear at times. If it wasn't for the handkerchief he found in Xiao Ru's room and smelling it from time to time, he would have lost track of the killer several times. Just like this, the more he went, the more remote it was, but Shui Feng was filled with confidence. This meant that he was not chasing in the wrong direction. The killer had kidnapped Xiao Ru, so he must have hidden her in an isolated place. This kind of place was the safest. At the end of the road, there was a large house. The white walls and black tiles were very eye-catching. Under the white wall, Shui Feng found a shallow footprint and an earring. The smell on it was the same as Xiao Ru's handkerchief. Shui Feng could immediately determine that the killer had kidnapped Xiao Ru and jumped over the wall. Even like this, the cautious Shui Feng did not dare enter. He leaned against the wall and pricked up his ears to listen. He suddenly heard a young girl's throat let out an "aw" cry. The sound was short and it was quickly covered by someone. That sound seemed to be Xiao Ru's. Shui Feng did not have time to think as he jumped onto the wall. He saw a figure flash in front of him and disappear in the blink of an eye. He immediately jumped down and chased after that figure. Who would have thought that with a pu sound, his feet would step into something soft and he would smell a stench? Shui Feng immediately realized this was bad and wanted to get up, but he saw a bucket of manure fall from the sky above his head. That bucket was filled to the brim and before it even fell, the contents of the bucket had already soaked him. The stench filled the air and his face was covered in manure water. He could not even open his eyes. He only heard a low and melodious voice come from above his head. "Humph, what number one hidden guard is only. This time, I'll teach you a small lesson. There's plenty of time in the future. We'll have plenty of time to play." The voice slowly faded and could no longer be heard. Shui Feng was stuck in the manure pit and he wanted to curse out in anger, but when he opened his mouth, the filth was poured into his mouth. He could only tightly close his mouth and swallow this grievance. Shui Zi, he Feng Su. He. Zs Feng. Shui Feng's heart couldn't help sinking. Could it be that he, the dignified number one hidden guard of the emperor, was going to be buried in a manure pit? Chapter 1293. This was the biggest humiliation Shui Feng had ever suffered in his life. Shui Feng used a towel to scrub his skin while hating the fellow that made him fall into the manure pit. At this moment, Xiaorong Princess was sent back to the Duke Ning Palace by Empress Dowager Zhou. Empress Dowager Zhou wanted her to stay in the palace to recover, but Xiaorong was stubborn and insisted on returning to the palace, so Empress Dowager Zhou could only give up. Although she reaped what she sowed, seeing her limping, Empress Dowager Zhou's heart filled with pity. So she ordered Su Jin to send Xiaorong back in her sedan. Xiaorong's heart was filled with pride, but her face was filled with gratitude and shame. She had an ashamed look on her face. She came down from the sedan and returned to her back garden. The weeping beauty on her face was swept away and her eyebrows knit together. She casually crushed a flower as her eyes filled with hatred. "Damn fox spirit! You ruined my good matter, this princess hates you to death. Just you wait, I definitely won't let this go. The empress position will be mine sooner or later. Cousin is also mine. She was filled with rage as she tore the flowers in front of her into a mess of petals. Suddenly, a graceful and melodious voice rang out behind her. TSK, who made Her Highness so angry? This kind of ruthless flower technique isn't bad. Zhao Rong Princess' body froze and the hand that was tearing the flowers stopped in the air. She suddenly turned around and saw a red robe fluttering in front of her. That face that could be called a calamity was right in front of her. A pair of narrow phoenix eyes slightly narrowed as he carefully looked at her. The thousand-faced young master has graced us again. Have you completed your mission? Where is that fox spirit's head? Zhao Rong Princess coldly said as she reached out her hand. She had eaten a stomach full of anger in the palace. What should have been a good thing had been taken advantage of by Qin Ning, causing her to lose everything. She had lost all her face and thrown it all the way to her grandmother's house. If it wasn't for Empress Dowager Zhou protecting her, she would have already been punished by Mo Chuan. At the same time, she would have lost all her face and wouldn't be able to stay in the capital city. In the end, all of this was given to her by Qin Ning, so she couldn't help but hate Qin Ning to the bone. Princess, what are you so anxious for? Has the thing this young master gave you been used yet? The red-clothed young master said with a smile. Zhao Rong Princess suddenly thought of the bag of powder he gave her which was still in her arms. She took it out and saw that the entire packet of powder had turned red and was filled with a pungent and spicy smell. Thinking about how Qin Ning had splashed pepper water on her and how the powder had been soaked, she couldn't help gritting her teeth. The powder is wet. Can it still be used? It's wet. The red-clothed young master was slightly startled. He then shook his head and said, "Throw it away. It is useless. If the princess still wants to play this game, I still have a bag of powder here." Zhao Princess, he took out a paper bag and placed it in his palm. Princess Zhao Rong's eyes lit up and she stretched out her hand to take it. However, the man in red closed his palms, and she grabbed nothing but air. "I'll give you the medicinal powder from last time. This time, I'll have to collect some interest. How much silver does it cost?" Zhao Rong Princess stared at his right palm. His slender fingers were as white as jade, they were even more beautiful and white than the fingers of a noble lady. Chapter 1294. Zhao Rong Region Princess had never seen a man with such a devastatingly beautiful and peerless appearance. He was like a demon in the mortal world. Especially the evil air between his brows, it filled him with an indescribable charm. However, Zhao Rong Region Princess thought about it and realized that the face she saw was fake. "I do not want silver." The red-robed man shook his head. "Then what do you want?" The red-robed man rolled his eyes and said with a smile, "I want to borrow a room from the princess." "Borrow a room?" Zhao Rong Region Princess was surprised. She then noticed that there was a gunny sack under the feet of the red-robed man. It seemed to have a person inside. Her eyes instantly brightened. "Is that the little bitch inside?" "No." The red-robed man shook his head again. Zhao Rong Region Princess was instantly disappointed. "Okay. My house does not lack rooms. You can have any room you want. Doing business with Her Highness is such a pleasure." The red-robed man smiled evilly and threw the powder to Zhao Rong Region Princess. He picked up the gunny sack and walked into one of the rooms. He opened the door and walked in, closing the door with a bang. Zhao Rong Region Princess stared at the tightly closed door and suddenly became curious. She took a deep breath and tiptoed closer. Then, she perked up her ears and listened to the movements in the room. The door suddenly opened from the inside. Zhao Rong Region Princess was caught off guard and almost fell inside. "Princess, is there something else?" The red-robed man stood at the door. His red robe was like fire and his eyes seemed to be emitting evil fire. Being stared at with such a strange gaze, Zhao Rong Region Princess felt flustered. She was so nervous that she could not speak. She swallowed a mouthful of saliva and said, "I forgot one thing." "Oh, what is it?" The red-robed man raised an eyebrow and the evil on his face became even stronger. Zhao Rongjuanju's heart jumped. She forced herself to calm down and said, "When I entered the palace today, I discovered that the person who made the deal with you and that little slut, the vixen, are the same person. These two deals are clearly one. Young Master Thousand Faces, don't tell me you still want to take 2 payments from me. The same person." The eyes of the man in red flickered for a moment, then he said as if nothing had happened, "But the princess has made 2 requests. Even if you want to kill the same person, according to the rules of the Purple Heaven Pavilion, you still have to pay the due reward. Not to mention, for the second reward, all I want is a promise from Duke Ning. The princess will not go back on her word, right? You know what the Purple Cloud Pavilion does to people who do not keep their word. You will not go back on your word." His eyes squinted and revealed a sharp glint. Zhao Rongjunju felt a chill run down her spine as she recalled that bloody and terrifying scene. The man in red in front of her had turned her servant girls into a pool of blood with just a wave of his hand. He was truly terrifying to the extreme. "All right, I won't go back on my word. I can still afford to pay you twice." She gritted her teeth and glared at the man in red. "But you have to give me a deadline. When can you bring me that bitch's head?" "Princess, you can't wait any longer." "Yes, I can't wait any longer. I want to chop that bitch into meat paste and feed her to the dogs," Zhao Rong Region Princess said hatefully. Chapter 1295. I've heard that the thousand-faced young master is the best assassin in the Purple Heaven Pavilion and has never failed before. Is there a mission that you can't complete? The Zhao Rong princess tried to provoke him. The red-clothed young master was not angry as he softly said, "This young master has never failed and it is because of this that I have to make a move with 100% certainty. She has a top expert by her side, so it is hard for this young master to find a good chance to make a move. This young master has never fought a battle without preparation, so when the time is right, this young master will naturally make a move." "Then how long do you want this princess to wait?" The Zhao Rong princess impatiently shouted. The red-clothed young master's tone suddenly changed. "I've heard that in a few days it will be the princess consort's 16th birthday. At that time, Empress Dowager Zhou will be celebrating your birthday in the palace, so it will be a very lively scene. In this kind of lively scene, does the princess not want to let this thorn in your side put on a good show in front of everyone?" "Put on a good show?" The Zhao Rong princess looked at him in confusion. "Did you forget what the bag of medicine this young master gave you was for?" The red-clothed young master gave an evil smile. The Zhao Rong princess suddenly came to her senses. Opening her palm to look at the bag of medicine, she couldn't help smiling at the red-clothed young master. The thousand-faced young master is truly strong. If it wasn't for you reminding this princess would have missed the chance to watch a good show. "All right, I'll let this little slut live for a few more days. On this princess' birthday, this princess will make the Empress lose face in front of everyone and make her lose all face. I'll make her unable to raise her head in front of my cousin and make her the laughingstock of everyone." The red-clothed young master said with a smile, "Isn't this more interesting than letting her die?" "It truly is interesting. On that day, this princess wants to see if she has the face to sit on the Empress throne. The Empress throne will fall on this princess' head sooner or later. At that time, this princess will torture her however I want. How could this princess be willing to let her die early?" The Zhao Rong princess revealed a sinister smile. The princess consort really is smart. When the princess has played enough of this game, this young master will naturally take care of her. I wonder if the princess is satisfied with this result. Satisfied. Of course, I'm satisfied. Your method is indeed more effective than killing her with a single stab of the knife to dispel my anger. The Zhao princess narrowed her eyes. Thinking of Chen Ning falling into her hands, the smile on her face became even wider. That's right, she hated her this much. If she directly took her head, wouldn't that be too easy for her? She wanted to torture her mercilessly. She wanted to use all the methods she could think of to torture her. She wanted her to beg for death, but she couldn't. She knew that there were a lot of methods like this. She would slowly try them on that slut and play with her slowly. The more Zhao Junju thought about it, the more pleased she became. She turned and left. She suddenly turned around and looked at the face of the man in red. She asked, "Young Master Thousand Faces, why do I suddenly feel that you hate that bitch more than I do? She has something between you. If it is, then this princess, that this princess, this you." Chapter 1296. No need, this princess wants to play with her. If I don't torture her enough, this princess won't let her die. Thousand-faced young master, I believe that other than this bag of powder, you have many other good things. As long as you can make that cheap woman lose face, you can name a price. No matter how much it is, this princess can pay for it. The Zhao princess said in a rich voice. The red-clothed young master's eyes narrowed as he smiled and nodded, making the guests satisfied is the goal of my Purple Heaven Pavilion. As long as the princess can pay, this young master does have many good things. Other than that, there is another piece of good news. I believe the princess will be very happy after hearing it. What good news? The Zhao group's leader's eyes lit up. While the princess was in the palace, this young master also went to the palace. The red-clothed young master took out a fan from who knows where and began to fan himself in a leisurely manner. Actually, it was the beginning of May and the weather was cool, so there was no need to use a fan at all. However, he still took out a fan to put on an act. The Zhao princess did not pay attention to his act at all. Her attention was completely focused on the matter of him entering the palace. What did you do in the palace? She asked with a nervous expression. The man in red smiled at her in a leisurely manner and winked at her. Of course it is to help the princess vent her anger. His smile was very charming. Even if the Zhao princess was deeply in love with Mo Chuan, seeing this kind of peerless smile, her heart still skipped a beat and her breathing became fast. She calmed herself and took a step back. She cursed in her heart, evildoer. A dignified man wearing a mask that was prettier than a woman, he was simply sick. She was cursing in her heart, but her face was filled with interest. How did you take revenge for this princess? Did you ruin that cheap vixen's face? When the Zhao princess thought of Qin Ning's face that was even more beautiful than the red-clothed young master in front of her, she gritted her teeth in hatred. It was because she had this kind of face that her cousin's eyes were mesmerized. Her cousin protected her like this, not even looking at her once. Ruin her face. This kind of interesting game is suitable for Her Highness. This young master is going to give her a small warning, and conveniently take away one of her most beloved things. The red-clothed young master gave a harmless smile, but his eyes flashed with a cold light. What warning? What did you bring back? Zhao Juanju's interest was piqued. She couldn't help but take a step forward and look at the sack in the corner of the room. She thought to herself that it must be the thing that the bitch fox spirit loved the most. Her hands were itching to move, and she couldn't wait to personally tear the thing inside to pieces. This young master killed all of the palace maids and eunuchs in Guan Osprey Palace and cut off their heads. Your Highness didn't see that scene. It was very interesting. I believe that the woman you hate the most must have seen this scene as well. She must also be very shocked, said the red-clothed young master with a smile as he waved his fan. He talked about beheading people as if he was stepping on an ant. Princess Xiaorong was also shocked. She looked at him in shock. You killed everyone in Guan Osprey Palace. Chapter 1297. The Xiaorong princess bit her lips. She couldn't tell if she was happy or afraid. She felt that the person in front of her was as terrifying as a demon from hell. He had killed so many people without any reason, but the people he had killed were people from Guan Osprey Palace, which made her feel very satisfied. She hated that she couldn't kill anyone that was related to Qin Ning. Very good, this princess is very happy hearing this. Many thanks to this young master for taking revenge for me. What about that little girl? Did you kill her too? The Xiaorong princess' eyes flashed with a dark look. She remembered that Qin Ning had a talkative girl by her side. It would be best if he killed that girl as well. She was Qin Ning's most trusted person, so if she died, Qin Ning's heart would be filled with pain. That little girl, she's in this sack. The red-clothed young master pointed at the corner with his lips. So it's her. The Xiaorong princess' heart filled with joy and she quickly stepped forward. This princess wants this little girl. Name a price, this princess will give it to you no matter how much silver you want. Ha ha, as long as this little girl falls into this princess' hands, I'm not afraid that fox spirit won't beg for mercy from this princess. Ha ha ha. But before that, this princess will interrogate this stinky girl and have her tell me everything that happened to that fox spirit when she seduced my cousin. You can't. The red-clothed young master suddenly stood in front of her. He closed the fan in his hand and tapped the back of her hand. This was brought back by this young master. This young master still has a use for her. If the princess wants to take revenge, it will be your birthday in a few days. Wouldn't it be better for you to find the one? That fan was cold to the bone. When it touched the back of the Xiaorong princess' hand, it penetrated her skin and made her shiver. She quickly pulled back her hand and saw that there was a red dot on the back of her hand. She was scared out of her wits and said in a trembling voice, What poison did you put on the back of my hand? She thought about how this red-clothed young master had turned her maids into pools of blood and how he had killed so many people in Qin Ning's palace. Now that he was covered in poison, she couldn't help trembling in fear. Poison. The red-clothed young master was a bit surprised, but then he began to laugh like a flower. This young master's treasures are all precious, would never randomly sell them. Not to mention that the princess is my guest, how could this young master offend a guest? After he said this, his smile disappeared. If the princess doesn't have any other business, then please leave. This young master is of the Zhao family. After his expression turned cold, it was as if his face was covered with a layer of frost. It was even scarier than when he was smiling. Xiaorong Junju gritted her teeth and couldn't help but say, All right, I still have a business to do. I want the person in the sack. Any price is fine. The young man in red was unmoved. He said calmly, She belongs to me. She is not part of the business. Princess, please. With a wave of his red sleeve, a gust of wind flew out and pushed Xiaorong Junju out the door. Then, the two doors closed with a bang. The Xiaorong princess could not stand still and had to take several steps back to stabilize herself. She bitterly glared at the closed doors and forcefully stomped her feet. Although her heart was unwilling, she did not dare knock on the doors. She glared at the doors a few more times before returning to her room filled with resentment. Chapter 1298. The inside of the sack was shaking like a sieve. It was clear that the person inside was very afraid. The red-clothed young master purposefully increased his footsteps as he walked towards the sack. With a gentle wave of his right hand, the rope tying the sack was cut, revealing a head with black hair. Miss Xiao Ru, long time no see. How have you been? The red-clothed young master flicked his finger and a gust of wind flew out. Xiao Ru's acupuncture point was instantly unsealed. But before her acupuncture point was unsealed, she had shrunk into the sack without moving. Now that her hands and feet could move, she tightly held onto the sack and hid her head inside, not even peeking out. Seeing her like this, the smile on the red-clothed young master's face became even deeper. He waved his right sleeve again and a gust of wind blew past, turning the sack into pieces of cloth. Ah! Xiao Ru let out a scream as she covered her eyes with her hands. Her body shrank back and her head was buried in her knees as she curled up like a shrimp. When she was in Guan Osprey Palace, she had personally seen this red-clothed young master descend from the sky. That enchanting smile was like that of an immortal, completely stunning her. But in the blink of an eye, this immortal young master began a massacre, killing everyone he saw. She didn't know what kind of demonic technique he used, but his fiery red sleeve was like a red cloud. With a gentle wave, a head would be sent flying into the air. None of the maids and eunuchs were spared. Blood flowed like a river. Xiao Ru stared at this scene in a daze. The blood flowed through her feet and wet her shoes. She could almost feel that the blood was still warm. The entire Guan Osprey Palace was filled with a nauseating smell of blood. A nightmare. She must be having a nightmare. Xiao Ru tightly closed her eyes and then opened them again. What she saw was a ground full of corpses and heads, as well as a bright red color. Everyone had been decapitated, and she was the only one who was still alive. She suddenly let out a shrill scream and sprinted toward the palace gate. Terrifying, too terrifying. She needed to quickly find the young miss. She needed to tell the young miss not to return to Guan Osprey Palace. There was a terrifying murderous demon in the palace. Suddenly, her head collided with a hard object, and when she raised her head, she met the red-clothed youth's eyes that were soaked with blood. Want to run? The red-clothed young master revealed a bewitching smile, a smile that could topple a country. But in Xiao Ru's eyes, it was like the face of a demon, incomparably terrifying. She let out a whimper as her vision darkened and she fainted. She didn't know what happened next. Xiao Ru thought that it would be hard for her to escape death, but she slowly regained consciousness. She found that her acupuncture point had been sealed and she couldn't move. She was also trapped in a black sack. It was the demon young master. Sure enough, as soon as the sack opened, she saw a blood-red color in front of her, just like the bloodstain that hadn't dried yet. She was filled with despair and fear. She curled her body into a ball. The first time we met, you seemed to like me very much. You even hugged me and kissed me. Why is it that now that we meet again, Miss Xiao Ru is afraid of this young master? What are you afraid? Are you afraid that I will hug and kiss you too? The young master in red laughed and teased her. Xiao Ru's ears perked up, thinking that she had heard wrong. What kind of nonsense was this red-clothed demon saying? She had never seen him before. When had she hugged him, and even kissed him? Chapter 1299. Xiao Ru buried her head in her knees. She decided to turn a deaf ear to the words of this demon that had gone mad. The red-clothed young master silently stared at her for a while. Then his bones began to make popping sounds. Elder sister Xiao Ru, Xiao Bao is hungry and wants to eat sweets. You promised Xiao Bao that you would buy sweets for Xiao Bao to eat. While Xiao Ru was shivering, she suddenly heard a soft child's voice in her ears. That voice was soft and sticky, making her heart melt just by hearing it. Xiao Bao. Could it be that little white-eyed wolf is here again? She looked up in bewilderment. Suddenly, a snow-white and cute face appeared in front of her eyes. He had a pair of large and round black eyes and an innocent and cute expression on his face. Elder sister Xiao Ru. Xiao Bao opened his arms and threw himself into her embrace. He hugged her and even arched his head in her embrace. Xiao Ru was completely stunned. Xiao Bao. She stuttered as her eyes opened wide in disbelief. Then, she reacted and began to push Xiao Bao away with all her might. Her round face was flushed with embarrassment. Little white-eyed wolf, stay away from me. You are not a little boy at all. You are that red-clothed demon. She remembered that Shui Feng had said that Xiao Bao had a very rare bone-shrinking technique. Although he looked like a 5 or 6-year-old boy, he was actually a man over 20 years old. Especially the Xiao Bao in front of her. Although he had a pure and cute face, he was wearing the red robe of the red-clothed young master. His little body was wearing the clothes of an adult. It was as strange as it could be. If she couldn't even recognize him like this, then her eyes would have grown in vain. Xiao Bao gave a chuckle as he tightly held onto her slender waist. Although his figure was small, his strength was unexpectedly large. Xiao Ru used all her strength, but she couldn't push his 2 slender arms away. Little demon, little white-eyed wolf. Let go of me, let go of me. Save me, save me. Xiao Ru desperately struggled as she screamed out. Although she knew that the other side was an adult man, seeing the face of a 5 or 6-year-old boy, she couldn't help adding the word little. Good elder sister, don't you like me a lot? You even promised to buy me delicious cakes and fruits, so why are you afraid of me now? It's not like I'm going to eat you, he. The red-clothed young master who looked like Xiao Bao looked up from her embrace and giggled as he winked at her. All the hairs on Xiao Ru's body stood up and her body began to tremble even more violently. Little demon, what are you doing? Let me go. No, otherwise, kill me. Little sister, how could I bear to kill you? You are that pretty sister's favorite. If you die, pretty sister will be very sad. Xiao Ru's heart suddenly trembled and tears began to fall from her eyes. Xiao Bao, Xiao Bao, you're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.